Welcome back, everybody. Hey, here we are again at the cafe, guys, back in Idaho. Tonight's discussion is going to be in regards to what is being hidden or kept secret in the Kohberger case. There was another video put out that I was looking at earlier that I wanted to review with you guys and see what your thoughts were and open that up into a discussion as we always do and see what the thoughts are on the table from everybody else. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. Please make sure to hit the like button if you can, if you will, please, and share this out and let everybody know what we're doing in here. You know how this goes. That being said, here we go. All right. Welcome back, guys. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Like I said, we're jumping back to Idaho, guys. There were a couple documents dropped, mostly just sealings. But tonight the topic is once again brought about by one of the subscribers to the channel. One of the community members asked this, as well as another video put out, almost with the same title. What is being hidden or kept secret here in the Kohberger case at this point? I think a lot of people want to know. A lot of people want to talk about it, and that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. What are the thoughts are on what could be being hidden or kept secret, or what is? So, just saying, yeah. It was a long drive to Idaho from Ohio, SRB. You're right, and I did it all on foot. What do you think about that, huh? Come on in, guys. Grab a seat. Get comfortable, if you will. We got 58 peeps in the house. 35 likes. Let's see if we can make that match, guys. I need to get this in an algorithm so that next time we do it, you guys will know what's going on. Please and thank you. Like Wisdom says, please like, subscribe, share this out. Hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss any time we do one of these shows, guys, because it's so very important that you're all here to do it with us. Thank you. And thank you, Wisdom, for that. Who do we have in here tonight? Besides the amazing and illustrious Blue Crew, who we all know I could not, would not, nor ever should try to do it without them. Because here we are. Let's see here. Tomboy's in the house. Tomboy, welcome back to you. Hunter's Moon, great to see ya. Miss Alicia J, welcome back to you. Seababs, great to see you. The lovely Miss Bonnie Bailey, hello, love. Good to see you tonight. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. Let's see here. SRBBBBB, great to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, Wisdom Speaks. We couldn't do it without her. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Wisdom. Great to have you. I am me. Welcome back to you. Great to see you. Marianne Craw, you too. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's see. The Canadian Cat Lady's in the house, all the way from Canada. Thank you for being here, Cat Lady. We appreciate you. Great to see you tonight. The Tomboy with a little charm in the house, but I guess she lost her charm last night, she said. So she's the charmless Tomboy now. Mark Schumann, welcome back to you. Great to see you, brother. Lacey's in the house. Great to see you as well. Echoes of Clarity, welcome back. Great to see you again. Let me see. Mark Schumann, Hunter's Moon, SRBB, beep, beep, beep. Angel Bonds, welcome back. Great to see you. Elizabeth Wagner, always a pleasure. Quite a bit of green in here. That means we got all the meatballs in the sauce tonight while we spill this stuff. Welcome back, Karma Police again. Great to see you from this morning. Elizabeth Wagner. Miss Rowena's in the house. Hello, Ro. Paula Fitzhenry, always a pleasure to see you, dear. Thank you for being here. Ida Toes, Ida Toes. Good to see you, Ida Toes. Penny Lane. Penny Lane, you're going to make me start singing. Welcome back, Penny Lane. Good to see you. Or welcome for the first time, I should say. I don't think I've seen you before. Great to have you. Bogart Villanueva. Hello and welcome. Sunday there. Wonderful. Where are you that it's so Sunday? That's crazy. Good to see you. And of course, without fail, I think she was the first one in the house tonight. Dagburn, Johnny Gobble's Dead Floozy Mama. Thank you for joining us tonight. Lacey, great to see you again. Lily Rose, good to see you. And Doc, welcome back to you. And there is Eddie. I was wondering where he was. One Made Nut in the house. Eve A22, good to see you again. Love Goldberg, always a pleasure. Wonderful to see you, Mark and Betty. Cheers, and wonderful to see you tonight. Thank you for joining us from over the pond. Wonderful. Wonderful to know, Penny. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate all of you guys, even people that are out standing in the hallway watching, not in the chat talking. We appreciate you as well, guys. 72 peeps in the house, 46 likes. We are climbing, getting there. We're going to hit that algorithm tonight. I know we are. We always do because you guys make it happen and you're amazing. Thank you to all of you beautiful people for being here. We appreciate you so very much. Amazing biscuit breakfast. Just thought, oh, I'm jealous. Don't be talking about that. I'm jealous. Come on in. Grab a seat. Let's see here. What's the door closed?
I have to go in and out.
You can open it back up. Let's see here. $72 peeps in the house. Great to see you. Great to have you here. And once we get rolling, guys, I did pin the link in the top of the chat, as I always do, because I always open this up for an open discussion for everybody to join us, because I want to hear your voices on these things too, guys. Welcome back, Stitches. Great to see you. I love this community. I appreciate this community. I wouldn't exist without this community of people, and I appreciate you all very much. And welcome to all the new people. Guys, please make sure to give them the welcome that we do for everybody. Make them feel at home. Make them comfortable. That's all I ask. Miss Tandy's in the house. Welcome, Seahawks fan. Wonderful to see you tonight. The tomboy and the bird flew in. Welcome, Miss Tandy. Good to see you. Come on in, guys. I'll give it just a few minutes before we get started. And make sure everybody's here that's going to be here. That way we don't have to back up. Welcome back, Tandy. Good to see you. I hope you didn't work too hard today. It's almost over. Almost over for the summer. Papa G, Appa P in the house. Love saying that too. Welcome back, sir. Great to see you tonight, brother. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you so very much. Yep. Let me see something here. Show. Tomboy, I'm jealous as hell. It looks good, Tomboy. Looks good. Let me see. Show. Hold on. Oh, wow, Tomboy. That looks amazing. I'm going to be starving now. Thank you.
Joe, go check them over.
Wow.
Go check them over.
No, Randy, I just started my show. Are you serious? No, I can't. Can't do it. Are you serious? Are you serious? She's serious. I think she's serious, guys. She's serious. I will here in a minute, hon. That's crazy, Alicia. Hang on 1 second. I gotta make sure it's something be clear. She's serious. She was like, no, I know. She's teasing with me. I think, guys, I don't know. We've been following the Carmelo Anthony case here before we get rolling. And I'm pretty sure I just read something that stated that there was another stabbing at West Potomac High. Same thing. Same place. If that's the case, what is going on? Welcome, Shabazz. Shabazz BZ. What's happening? Papa GG Appa P. Why do I like saying that? I love saying that. Let me show you guys something here before we get rolling. Hold on a minute here. I want to say, I think it's Pascal put it out, but I'm going to show you something real quick. Y'all, hang on. Yeah, let's see here. Where's it at? If this is true, what the hell, folks? Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf 2.0, another stabbing at West Potomac High. Oh, man. What? For real? Wow, y'all. Well, I know we're going to be looking at tomorrow. That's unreal. That is unreal. Something bad's going on down that way. Yeah, we'll be covering that in the morning on the morning show, folks. That's insane. Insanity. Good God. Hold on. Give you guys a little insight into it real quick here before we get kicked off. It'll give you everybody else, if they want to jump in, and a chance to get here first. Student faces charges after stabbing teen at West Potomac High. A 16-year-old was in the hospital with serious injuries after a stabbing at West Potomac High in Alexandria section of Fairfax County, Virginia, on Wednesday morning. School resource officer rushed to help the teen who was stabbed just before 10 a.m., police said. Officers with Fairfax County responded to the school within minutes. Police said earlier the 16-year-old who was stabbed had suffered life-threatening injuries, but during a press conference Wednesday afternoon, police said the student was in stable condition at a neighborhood hospital. A 15-year-old boy is in custody and will be charged with malicious wounding. Officers have recovered the knife the suspect is accused of using in the stabbing. 3 students got into a fight in a hallway near some classrooms before the stabbing. Third student involved in the fighting is being interviewed by investigators, but police do not expect that student will be charged. Authorities have not released the names of any of the teens. No other suspects are believed to be involved outside of the student who is in custody. Acknowledged video of the fight that's been posted on social media. We had the video just like you had the video, but the video doesn't tell the entire story, David said, and mother of the student said she's concerned about her son's safety. This is something that could have been stopped. Wow. I mean, for real, guys, wow. And I wonder if this fight had anything to do with the previous situation that happened. Do you know what I'm saying? This is starting to get to be a problem, you guys. Seriously, it really is. So, for those of you that like to join us for our morning show, be prepared because we're going to be running through that tomorrow and see if it's related to the Anthony situation, the Carmelo Anthony situation. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Unbelievable. We can't have kids running around the school stabbing each other. This is nuts. Oh, wait a minute. Tomboy said the school that was in Frisco was Memorial High. Okay, so this is a different school, but it still must be in the same area. Either way, like this is still bad. Still bad. So bad, bad, bad. My nanny always told me dogs are done, people are finished. Well, I'm finished. Well, thank you, love. I appreciate that. The metalhead from over the pond in the house, Mr. Scott. Good to see you, brother. I love your name. Another name I love. You guys got great names in here. The other one was in Texas, right? Sorry, guys. I misunderstood the way it is stated, but still, it's another stabbing. Okay, these are between teenage high school kids stabbing each other, folks. Sorry about that. I misunderstood completely, but it's still, like I said, it's still bad. We didn't go around stabbing each other when I was in school. I don't understand this. Like, don't people know how to fight anymore? What happened to people using their fists? Why does this turning into a thing? Brandy B, the OG, welcome. Hey, Judy, come here. You gonna give me some love? What's the matter with you? Hold on, guys.
Hi.
Wave. Give me a kiss and go.
They can't. There's sticky stuff on their lips.
Okay, I love you. I have a new grandbaby too today. Kaniki has been born. 106 peeps. Anyway, yeah, I misinterpreted that whole thing. I wasn't even looking at thinking about this thing. The point is we still have two stabbings that have happened within a high school, two different high schools, high school kids, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids stabbing each other instead of fighting. Why? There shouldn't be the fighting either, but like, why are we automatically running to knives and stuff like that? It's insane. It's okay, Alicia. It's not your fault. I didn't read thoroughly. I was in such a hurry that threw it out there. The point is I corrected it, and we're still seeing stabbings, okay, in high schools. This isn't cool. I have a kid that's in high school. A lot of us have kids in high school. It's a problem. Thank you, Sherry, and welcome. Welcome back, Miss Gina. GC Reed, good to see you. CZ. We have teachers in here, guys, that have to go to these schools on a regular basis. This is not a normal thing. CZ's a teacher. Seahawks fan is a teacher. Yes, we do have a new baby, Tandy. Yes, and his name is Kaniki from Greece. Yes, he's adorable. I showed him this morning on the morning show. He's born, I think, at around 12:30 or so. Old school scuffles, not today's way. It's not. You guys know how that happened, and thank you, Alicia. Yes, his name is Kaniki. It's going to be Nick or Nikki for short, of course, or Kanik. You know how that goes. And I have another one on the way in 3 months. Welcome, Kate. Good to see you. Yes, we have some new court documents we're going to be reviewing as well. For sure. Welcome, Noel, and thank you so much for that super chat. Says, in my opinion, I think Kaylee's car videotaped it all the way the whole weekend. Really? She have a dash cam? Do you think? That would be interesting. Would that be interesting? Thank you so much, Noel. That would be real interesting, guys. Where are you going, Tomboy? Where are you going? Miss Marianne said, I'm a retired teacher from a city school district. Stabbings happen all the time. It's unfortunate. See, we never had that. It's crazy. Yes, very much appreciated, Noel. God bless. Anybody that chooses to donate to support the channel and those, whether it's super chats or whatever, the cash apps down there and that are scrolling on the thing, or membership, whatever you guys do, we don't ever expect that, you guys, but we do really appreciate it. It keeps us going on a day-to-day basis and keeps all the bills paid. So thank you guys so much. I didn't either. That's a good point, love. I have to look into that. I'm sure that would have been something they would have got though if that was up and running. That's what I said too. Thank you, Alex. They love Greece, and the father really does. So they love the name Kaniki, and they used it. Welcome, cat lover. Is that why he's saying that? And guys, listen, if they have footage of BRYAN entering and exiting, let's see it. I'm down. I am down for it. I want to see it. If that's the proof that they're saying they have, and they're going to show that proof, let's do this. Because if that's it, then it is what it is. Then we have to accept it. Facts. That's all there, or folks. That's all there is. I don't believe that, but I don't believe that. I don't know. My understanding is that a dash cam like that would be, the vehicle would have to be on and running, I would think, wouldn't it? For the dash cam to engage. Hey, Chris Doheny, good to see you. Kate, welcome back. Heather Fitzgerald's in the house. Range Rover dash cam. Can record video while the car is off, provided the dash cam has a parking mode feature that and is hardwired. Okay. And it was brand new, so I don't believe she may have even known about something like that. So I don't know. Even off. Wow. Okay. It's not a piece that it's not a fact that was put out there. It's just Noel's opinion, and I appreciate that. And again, thank you for the super chat. You didn't have to do that again. Thank you so much. Miss Paula Fitzhenry, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you, Noel, very much. If they have that, they should have presented it already. And this thing would have, I see, that's what I'm thinking too, cat lady. If you have something that critical and that damning, I would imagine that would have been dropped a long time ago. They would have showed, here he is, guys, walking in and out of the house, and we wouldn't be going through any of this stuff. But that's still a great and interesting theory, Noel. If nothing else, maybe it shows somebody else. Who knows? You know what I mean? I wonder if there is any video from that at all, from the times that she's pulled in and pulled out before all this happened. Interesting. I've never would have thought of that. Steve has made statements that and I'm not being disrespectful at all, but he probably shouldn't have he probably should have not made some of the statements he has. I think he's saying these things because he really truly wants to believe that this is the be all end all. And he's putting things out based on what he believes, not factual things that he knows for sure. And I mean that with all due respect, guys. I'm just saying, because of the way this has gone. That's my opinion, of course. I don't know for a fact, so. I mean, it could have filled stuff they want to hide. That's what we're talking about tonight. What is being hidden and or kept secret within the Kohberger case right now? Ray led on to, within his affidavit, to believe that there's something much bigger being covered up, in his opinion. What is it that they're hiding, guys? What is it that's not being put out there? What is it that is being kept secret from the world? I'm curious. What could it be? We could talk about that tonight. Steve's asking, why is the judge's behavior even allowed to lead the prosecution? I don't understand the judge's behavior at all, Babs. I just don't. I don't. Right, Sherry. I agree with you, hon. I know. Be Real saying they would have already shown proof that. See, that's my thought too, because they've been so weak with certain things, and then all this other stuff drops from the defense side of things to protect him. I think prosecution would have said, really? You think? Okay, boom, here we are. You know what I mean? I know they don't have to do that, but I think they would have done that. The cat lady said, it's funny that there has been nothing shown of the girls getting home, Ethan and Xana driving. or arriving DoorDash. Nothing has been put out there. None of it has. You're right. With all the things that we've seen, Linda Lane and all this other stuff, there's never once been one of those videos dropped, you guys. Imagine. That's interesting to me. Olivia Gonsalves stated that she saw a video from the house next door of Kaylee and Maddie getting home at 1:56 and then bringing the dog back out for a walk. I'd love to see that video myself and the timestamp on it. Heather Fitzgerald says, Dago pick me. I'll take Hiding the Truth for 537 octillion, Alex. Heather, you're welcome to join me today if you'd love to. If you feel comfortable enough coming up here, we would love to have you. There's a link pinned. You're welcome to jump up here and talk and speak and express yourself if you would like to. Eve says, they said ring cam. We've heard nothing else about a ring cam. Very good point. Echoes of clarity. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Yes, that's true too. And Miss Wisdom's right. We got to remember that a lot of it has been sealed and it's still under gag. That's true. That could come out still. Exactly, Gina. I'm positive we'll find out that Dean and BF were not home. They left and came back in the afternoon. A lot of people think that, Sherry. BK had 2 traffic stops. Why have they only released 1? Because they have that other one under seal, Mark. You can't even FOIA that one. The one from October, you cannot get any info. You can't even see it. It just, they won't let it out. Well, thank you, love. I appreciate that so very much. Yes, I try to make everybody feel comfortable and feel at home when they do come up on the panel. I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable because you should have no reason to. You won't be judged in here. I do not allow for that. So, welcome, Meg P. 118 peeps with 77 likes. Come on, guys. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Let's make those match, please, so we can get this in that algorithm. Have you ever had to give your cop a cell phone? Never. But I live in Ohio. I'm not in Idaho. It could be different. I've never seen or heard of that, but it could be different in different places. I'm just saying, guys. I don't know. Never heard of that. Excuse me. Never. I've been put over in 2 states. Never. Yeah, I've never heard of it either. What's happening, Willow? Willie Will and the Willards in the house. What's up, bro? You're welcome to join if you want, Willie. The link is pinned in the top of the chat. I do want to look something before we go any further. I do want to look at something else, though. Hold on. Give me 1 minute, folks, to pull this up. Sorry. So. Looks like we have some more. Whoa, okay. Yeah, they dropped way more than what I saw earlier. Got more documents here. Let's see here. Show. All right. Now notice the compliance and motion to seal states witness and exhibits list. Motion to seal defendants. There was only 2 earlier when I looked. Phase 1 lay witness list. Motion to seal defendants' objections to state requested jury instructions. Those are the 2 that I saw. And proposed jury instructions of witnesses and list exhibit lists. Phase 1 lay witness list. Order sealing it. Order sealing objections to states. Requested jury instructions. Order on states motions and lemony read text messages and 911 call. That should be interesting. See what we're going to be reviewing tonight then. Order on defendant's motion to strike death penalty autism spectrum disorder. That should be interesting. And order on defendant's motion in lemony vague and undisclosed expert testimony. All right, so let's see here. The first one. Excuse me. Again, and the link's pinned at the top of the chat if anybody wants to join me up here to discuss all of these real quick here. Notice of compliance and motion to seal the state's witness and exhibit list. Okay, so that's all this is. Some of these guys we're not going to read because they don't have anything to read. They're just motions. Let's look at this one because this is the one I'm most interested in right now. There he is. I knew he was going to join me. What's up, bub?
What's up, buddy?
How you
What's
doing
up,
tonight?
Daniel?
Doing good?
Good. I just heard that there's new stuff out, so
Yeah.
I haven't even touched or looked at anything yet. Have you already read this?
Nope, we're doing it together for the first time.
Oh,
This just
awesome.
because I was in here earlier and there was only 2 new documents. So this
How
is
many
all
did they drop now?
There's like 9 or 10 now.
Oh my god, bro! There's so many documents, and like for people in the future that go back to look at this case, they're gonna be like, "What the hell?"
Oh, dude, it'll take them. Can you imagine how many boxes there's going to be for this case?
Well, I'm just curious because is it usually this much paperwork in a case? Like, is this normal?
Well, the defense has put through more motions I've ever seen in my life with this one, Willie.
Oh, okay.
So I'll say that much. And this is all part of what she's doing, though.
No, I know there's filing. I just don't know if this is like a little bit abnormal as far as what's being done and the quantity.
Welcome, Terry. Yeah, it's a little more abnormal than what I've ever seen as far as like motions and documents and stuff like that.
I got you. So now is all this the judge's response or what?
Yeah, I think most of these are the responses to the motions that were put the last hearing we had.
Okay.
That's what a lot of these orders are.
Okay.
Yeah, this case probably does have the most
Oh,
documents.
look at this. Text message 911 call. Oh, shit. It's about to get juicy.
Where we're going. Yes, sir. This would be I didn't even expect this. So this is brand new.
This is wild.
And here we are. So you get to join and do it for the first time with me, sir.
Hell yeah, buddy. Listen, man, we've been at this shit for 3 years. This freaking case almost.
I know.
Anyway. All right, I'll shut up.
Here we go. No, you're good. Here we go. This is the
case. And if you need me if you want a break or whatever, just let me know and I can read.
Yeah. Appreciate that. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for joining us tonight, bud. This is the order on the state's motions in limine. Read the text messages in the 911 call. So we threw this together in one. Welcome, Candy Girl. Good to see you tonight. Terry Martin, real quick. Let me catch up with everybody else real fast here that just popped in, and then we'll get moving. I think I got those two. True Seeker, welcome back to you. I am me. Great to see you as well. If I didn't already say that. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, I will catch up with you. I promise. All right. Candy Girl. Okay. Love said I'm calling it now. If I haven't out loud yet, if shit goes south out of the border, as they say, they will throw DM and BF under the bus. Hence why BF's family has tried to separate her. So it could be. I could see that. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So again, order on the state's motions in limine. Read the text messages in 911. DM and BF are the 2 surviving roommates of 1122 King Road, and at the time the homicides were believed to have occurred, DM saw a masked intruder in the house and began calling and texting the other roommates, including BF. Approximately 8 hours after DM saw the intruder, BF called 911 from her phone because before the court is the state's motion to allow the text messages by DM and BF testimony about their conversations with each other about what they saw, what DM saw in the 911 call. And see, there's something that needs to be clarified. Okay. That's kind of important, I think. And right here, it says, is the state's motion to allow the text messages by DM and BF testimony about their conversations with each other about what DM saw and the 911 call. This clearly states that Bethany saw nothing. This is all what Dylan saw. Bethany saw nothing based on what we were seeing here. And we'll see how that goes at the trial too, but that's interesting. So everything that Bethany knows is based on what Dylan told her. Nothing more that we know of, okay? Okay.
Well, she did have her own thought that Janet was dressed in all black. So, I don't
That
know what
had
you
to have
mean.
been something she saw at some time during that night. Yes, I agree. That's true. Yep,
Anyway.
I am just said it. She definitely saw Santa at some point. That's right.
There you go.
Kate says these
Great
do
minds
detail.
think alike.
That's all these things do is they bring this stuff out and it just brings more questions. It doesn't bring any answers. So
I don't know. It's amazing, isn't it?
it is. It
Bless
is
you.
all very important. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, was that a sneeze or a cough?
Both. Sorry.
But
I did both. My allergies are killing me today. I was outside for about 2 hours and that's all I needed. It was 85 degrees here, so I'm outside in the yard trying to do stuff, and my allergies.
hot, right?
Yeah, it's hot today.
And tomorrow,
Hey,
and like
Kylie.
here, I mean, at least here in PA, dude. Like tomorrow, like not even no bullshit. It'll be like 35, and I wouldn't even bat an
The
eye.
same thing happened here. Mother Nature's bipolar here, same as there. Yep. Yeah,
Crazy.
per the PCA, Chris said BF saw. Yeah, they were at that same place at the frat house supposedly during that when that whole fight broke out. So yeah, that was earlier in the night supposedly, but we'll see. About the conversation, the state argues that these communications are either not hearsay or qualify under one or more exception to the hearsay rule. It also asks that a transcript of the 911 call be provided to the jury to view while listening to the audio. Defendant challenges several of the communications and objects to the use of the transcript. Oral argument on the motions was held on April 9th of 25, after which the court took the matters under advisement. The court finds that some of the hearsay statements on the 911 call do not qualify under the exceptions cited by the state and therefore must be redacted. However, the balance of the 911 call, as well as the text and conversations noted herein, are likely admissible, provided that the requisite foundation is laid at trial. The transcript will be allowed as a demonstrative aid, again, assuming proper foundation is established. The court's rulings on the specific text messages, phone activity, and 911 call statements are appended hereto in table format as exhibits A and B, respectively. So they're stating here that they're going to allow the 911 call as well as the text and conversations are likely admissible, provided that the requisite foundation is laid. So they have to lay foundation, and the transcript will be allowed as demonstration aid, again, assuming proper foundation is established. So they're allowing for this. Good. As long as they apply foundation first. Standard would be that whether a statement falls within the present sense impression and or excited utterance exceptions is a question that is left to the sound discretion of the trial court, giving consideration to the totality of the circumstances. State versus Stover, 126 Idaho 258 262-63, 881, page 2D, 553, 557, and 58. Court appointed 94. Use of demonstrative aids is also a discretionary determination. Okay. I'm not reading all this case law. Anyway, on discretionary matters, the trial court must, 1, correctively perceive the issue as one of discretion, 2, act within the outer boundaries of its discretion, and 3, act consistently with the legal standards applicable to the specific choices available to it, and 4, reach its decision by the exercise of reason. After spending the evening out, roommates DMBF, Kayla Gonsalves, and Madison Mogan, they spelled her name wrong, returned to their home at 1122 King Road in the early morning hours of November 13th of 22. At approximately 2 a.m., they met up in Kaylee's bedroom and talked for this is new.
Here we go.
At
What do you
approximately
want, you little rat?
2 a.m., they met up in Kaylee's bedroom and they talked for a while before going to bed. The fifth roommate, Xana Kernodle, who was out with her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, was not home yet. At 2 a.m.? Okay, let's back this up.
Was she supposed to already be? See, I don't know all the times.
Yes, she was. Two different times we've heard about Xana and Ethan being home. One between noon or midnight and 12:30, They were sitting they were in her room eating pizza at 12:30. Remember? Then it was stated again that they were home by 1:45.
Really?
Now we're up at 2 a.m. and they're upstairs in the bedroom. These two are upstairs in the bedroom. This is crazy. Okay. Now we're gonna have to apply this to the text messages too, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Everything should be, now we can, hell yeah.
You changing the timeline, Willie.
Oh, of course.
This is insane. Okay, let me back this up for SRB one more time. After spending the evening out, the roommates, Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Madison Mogan returned to their home at 11:22 in the early morning hours of November 13th. At approximately 2 a.m., they met up in Kaylee's bedroom. This means all of them were upstairs in the bedroom in Kaylee's room.
Wait.
Including Bethany, Dylan, and Maddie. They were all up in Kaylee's bedroom and talked for a while at 2 a.m. What?
What the hell?
Where did this even come from, you guys?
Oh, Nelly.
And Xana wasn't home yet. Is Nelly in here? Yeah, this is wild. Okay.
Wow.
All right. On we go. So now we have, yes, Candy, that's what they're stating. That now we have all of them together except for Xana and Ethan at 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting up in Kaylee's room talking.
Okay. Okay, so how many people would that be?
Dylan, Bethany, Kaylee, Maddie. That's 4.
Okay, so that's not. That's not really a big deal, right?
It's no,
2
but
o'clock.
It changes some things. That's all.
Yeah, that's a big. Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Like, are who's supposed to be home at that time? You're saying Xana and Ethan are supposed to be home.
Xana and Ethan should have been home based on what we heard the first time they were home by midnight and eating pizza at 12:30 when she talked to her father.
Okay, and now this is saying that without Ethan and Xana in the home, they all had a meeting.
Right, and then it says, like Eddie stated, the PCA told us, which we know it's garbage, that they were all home in the home by 2 a.m.
Okay.
Now, okay. Where are we at here? Let me get back to where I was.
It's not really a game changer, but interesting.
No, but it does change a little bit of some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying it's not a. Oh my god.
Right.
Because we already know their timeline's bullshit. It's just now. It's just we have to see how they're going to squirm their way to change it.
Right. All right. So now let's get back to where we were. They met in Kaylee's room, who was out with her boyfriend. Ethan Chapin was not home yet. At 2 a.m., they were not home yet. The roommates debated going out to a food truck for a late snack, prompting Dylan to send a text at. Well, here's the answer to that question. Prompting Dylan to send a question at 2:10 to an Uber driver she knew to see if he was driving. D1. Ultimately, however, the girls decided to just go to bed.
Yeah, right.
So at approximately 4 a.m., Dylan heard strange noises and crying coming from the bathroom. That's new.
The bathroom.
The bathroom on her floor, which is right next to Xana's bedroom. She opened her door at one point and saw a man dressed in black with a ski mask on walking by her bedroom door. She then placed calls and texts to her other roommates to see if they were awake. Only Bethany, who resided on the ground floor, answered. They spoke for 24 seconds. They spoke once for 24 seconds, during which Dylan told Bethany she thought she heard something. They spoke again a minute later for 41 seconds. When DM told Bethany she saw a man in a ski mask leaving the house. They then exchanged the following text messages between 4:22 and 4:26. And of course, we know no one is answering.
What just real quick, who is this coming from?
What are
Is
you
this the
talking about?
judge making up the story? Like, is this his interpretation of like everything? Is that what's going on right now?
This is the order that
Yeah. So
yeah,
this
I guess
is
it is. Yeah.
what the hell?
I
Okay.
guess this is how the judge has interpreted what he's been told.
Alrighty.
Hold on a
Wow.
minute.
This guy knows exactly what Dylan did. I'm sure, bud. Fucking. This is weird.
All right, so
This dude's helping a
where was I
witness.
at? Go back down here. The court's rulings on a specific text message, phone activity, call statements are appended hereto in the table format as exhibits. Okay. All right, so it says whether a statement falls within the present sense, impression, and or excited utterance exceptions is a question that is left to the sound discretion of the trial court, giving consideration to the totality of the circumstances. Use of demonstrative aids is also a discretionary determination. On discretionary matters, the trial court must correctly perceive the issue as one of discretion. 2, act within the outer boundaries of discretion. 3, act consistently with the. No, we already read all that. What the hell am I doing, you guys? You should have shut me down. Sorry. They spoke again, and yeah, we were down here. So back to these messages again. It says that these went on between 4:22 and 4:26 a.m. Dylan to Bethany, no one's answering. Dylan to Bethany, I'm really confused right now. Dylan to Kaylee, she texted Kaylee, just her name. Dylan to Bethany, what's going on? Bethany to Dylan, yeah, dude, what the F? Bethany to Dylan, Xana was wearing all black. Dylan to Bethany,
So that's what I mean. So it's not just Dylan. So because when they're texting, Bethany's basically like agreeing with her, like, yeah, like I hear it too, right?
I'm guessing that's how it comes off, yeah.
Okay.
But everything was seen and heard by Dylan and passed on to Bethany. And that's when the conversation starts. What's up, Kane?
Okay. But then what provokes Zen to be like, yeah, what the F? Like, it seems like they're both hearing what's going on and they're kind of like talking to each other, like, yo, like, what the hell's going on? You hear this shit? I don't know. That's just how I'm taking it.
I mean, it kind of does seem that way.
Yeah.
She said she heard crying, back up here. She
in the
states that she heard
bathroom.
it from the bathroom area. Yeah. So,
And Xana's supposed to be like still awake at that point and eating and whatever.
right. And they already got took food home from the grub truck. We know that. Lily stating, yes. Welcome back, seat PB&J. Thank you for joining us. Love your name. But they did it so I don't know. This is a little weird, but anyway, okay.
That's funny. So they just ate, right? And everybody's full and shit. And as soon as they get home, they want to go back out. Okay.
Well, here's the thing, though. We know that they were all 4 together in Kaylee's room, and maybe they saw Kaylee and Maddie eating and decided they wanted food because they didn't get anything. They were all going to get more food. So that's why the Gower was contacted.
So Dylan, okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that does make a little sense. Anyway, on we go. So we know how these text messages went down, but
All right.
yeah, dude, what the F? Xana was wearing all black, and then Dylan back to Bethany. I'm freaking out right now. Dylan to Bethany again. No, it's like a ski mask almost. Bethany says to Dylan, shut the fuck up. Bethany says to Dylan, actually, meaning like it's like a ski mask, actually. You know what I mean? I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan back to Bethany. Like he had something over his head, something over his forehead, and a little in his mouth. I never could understand what that meant, but I got the gist of it.
Yeah.
Dylan back to Bethany again. Bethany, I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. Bethany to Dylan. So am I. That's
For
when Bethany, my phone's going to die. F. Bethany says, come to my room and run down here. Dylan says, I'm screwed or scared. I guess Olivia said that she spoke to them, I guess, and that means scared, but either way, whatever.
Come on.
Then Bethany comes back and says, "Yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone." Now, also, it says during the foregoing exchange, Dylan also attempted contacting Ethan Chapin through Snapchat. ID GJ trans at, I don't know what the hell that means. Anyway, she again tried calling Kaylee and Xana, but neither responded. Then exited her room and began running towards Bethany's bedroom. On her way, this is new too, but okay. On her way, she noticed Xana laying on the floor of her bedroom with her head towards the wall. So the door wasn't fucking closed.
Oh my motherfucking God. I told you
that the other day.
I was telling y'all during the 911 call that she wasn't in the fucking room, dude.
It says right there, on her way, she noticed Xana lying on the floor of her bedroom with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door. DM thought Xana was drunk.
Bam. There it is.
Here's my problem, bro. At this time, right here, now, stop.
Why are you not on your phone dialing 911?
Bingo. And this was
going over to her and seeing what happened to her. What a friend, huh? What a friend.
Right. This was around 4:30 in the morning. So you just sat there with her laying on the floor like that from 4 till noon?
Yeah. Keep backing her up, Steve. Keep backing her up. Oh my God, dude. If I'm Xana's fucking parents right now, I'm livid.
DM thought Xana was drunk. Once DM arrived in Bethany's room, they locked the door and both made additional unanswered calls to other roommates. At 4:30.
Say that again.
Once DM arrived,
it said that she was drunk.
Yes, she thought she was drunk. Yes.
So okay. So hold on a second, bro. We gotta talk this out. So she just saw somebody, and now she just saw somebody with a ski mask, and she's texting Bethany. She's freaking the fuck out. Now all of a sudden, she sees her friend laying down, and immediately goes to she's drunk.
Well, that's my point. But I'm guessing maybe this is something they've seen before, but that's still stupid to me. I'm sorry.
But then why aren't you going? Okay, something they've seen before. You're not going to go help
people
your roommate that's on the ground?
I would. You would. They don't do that, I guess.
I mean, come on. She has to think about, what's Ethan doing if Xana's here laying on the floor? Is Ethan not helping her? Maybe I should help her. Where's Kaylee and Maddie?
Isabel made a good point. They may not have actually been friends, dude. Because that Dylan and them were new.
Okay.
It's still shitty, but yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I wouldn't have done it, friend or no friend, but I would have said something. I would have went and checked on her. I would have walked over there and looked at her. You didn't do that? You didn't look at her? You didn't notice the cuts, the blood? You didn't walk in there to look? You just ran.
And that's why I said, what was her motive to summon over the fucking neighbors? And there it goes right out the window.
The door, but here's the thing, though. Now we have a problem, Billy. The door was open. You saw that. What was he doing in there? That's why we don't hear a door being busted open, because there was no door closed.
Exactly. That's why I said, that's why I've been asking this question for how long now. What was her motive to summon people over if it wasn't to bust down a door or to break into the room or whatever? Now.
Yep.
Now what are you going to say?
Right. Why didn't they start yelling for Ethan at that point? Why didn't you go looking for Ethan? Where was Ethan?
Exactly.
All you saw was Xana, but there's no Ethan mentioned here at all. Was Ethan in the bathroom?
Was Ethan even in his bedroom?
Right. So once again, hold on.
Or was that door closed and Xana was on the outside of the door?
Well, it says she noticed Xana lying on the floor of her bedroom with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door.
Head towards the wall. Feet. Because you got to understand, dude, at this point, she's stabbed 40, 50 times, supposedly, right?
Of course, yeah.
And this chick was able to just see some freaking eyebrows. And all she sees, in the position that Xana's lying, that was normal to her in a drunken state for her to... Wow.
Well, she continues to claim that she was messed up herself. So if that's her excuse, that's going to be the excuse. You know that.
Sure.
So the door wasn't closed at all then, SRB. That's the thing. The door was not closed.
Who
Unless
says the door was
unless they
closed?
go back in there and close the door at some point. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Steve's the only one that said the damn door was closed.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Okay. On we go. A little bit more. We'll come back to this if we have to. Dylan thought Xana was drunk. Once she arrived in Bethany's room, they locked the door, and both of them made additional unanswered calls to the other roommates. At 4:32, Dylan again texted Kaylee, "Please answer." Now, the footnote says Bethany testified to her recollection of the content of these two phone calls before the grand jury. However, Dylan could not recall specifics about what was said. The typos and abbreviations are the original messages. Okay. Dylan testified before the grand jury that Instagram is a text messaging app that is used by young adults to communicate. Okay. So anyway. So this again is all based on what Dylan stated, that Bethany, and now when the testimony for the grand jury was brought up, Dylan could not recall specifics about what was said. That's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. So, okay. When she, please answer with no response. Between approximately 5 and 6:30 a.m., Dylan engaged in activity on her phone, primarily creating, editing, and deleting images and videos. What?
oh god, here we go. I wish I was a chick, dude.
Creating, editing, and deleting images and videos between 5 and 6:30 a.m.
Oh, normal.
After seeing your friend passed out or laying on the floor in her bedroom, hearing all the noises and being scared to death to run down to the room. That's
And then
what
somebody
she did for
called
an
her.
hour and a half.
And then somebody called their parents at 7:30, but they went to sleep. Don't worry.
We're getting there.
Wow.
Her phone activity then ceased until 8:05. So from 6:30 to 8:05, when Dylan accessed Instagram for a few minutes. At 10 a.m., Dylan again accessed Instagram and communicated over Snapchat. At 10:23, she texted Madison asking, "Are you up?" She received no response. Dylan continued to access Instagram and Snapchat until 11:29, when she texted Kaylee, "Are you up?"
Where's the
Again,
text to Xana? Hey, are you okay? I just saw you laying on the fucking ground.
well, she's imagining, unless she already knows. Okay.
Oh man, imagining. She'd imagine shit.
Right. So again, there was no response, which Dylan thought was strange because Kaylee and Madison were early wakers. Dylan continued accessing various social media sites, including checking Ethan and Xana's Snap Map locations. Why would you do that if you know that Xana's laying on the floor upstairs above you?
Yeah, remember how we talked about so much that Ethan wasn't really contacted
At all, right? Or talked about. Yeah,
Isn't that her? Aren't they together?
they were supposed to
If you
be.
saw your buddy's girl passed out on the ground and you go downstairs for whatever reason, are you not going to text your buddy like, "Hey man,
Yeah.
your girl's laying in the hallway. You all right? Like, are you guys all right? Like something."
Right. And shit, like Sherry said, how did you miss all the red? That's my question. But if it was dark, I'll give you that for a little bit. But okay, hold on. At least
But then, what's the reasoning to not go back upstairs and check on her, dude?
They were scared to death. Remember, that's the reason.
Okay, so then the next day, it's bright and sunny fucking day. 7:30 in the morning, you're awake. You're calling your parents. You're not hearing noises anymore. It's silent as a mouse for another 5 hours before you dial 911. And at no point in time do you go upstairs, knowing that your friend was passed out drunk, but you were so scared. What are we going with, bro? Was she scared or was she not scared and she thought her friend was drunk? We can't have both. We can't have both. I'm getting pissed now.
Or did she know what happened and didn't want to have to see it?
But then she's fucking guilty.
Oh, sorry, Eddie. I didn't mean to leave you back there, bud. Of course she's guilty, dude. Come on now. And I think that's Kane too. What's up, bud? Okay. Sorry, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't looking down. I didn't see you back there.
The green monster.
I
No,
didn't
I
mean to
just
leave you
arrived.
back
You
there
didn't.
so long.
Eddie.
Hey, Willie.
Welcome,
go.
gentlemen.
This is
Wow.
this is killing me. I have to say it. It's hard to be in chat and watch
Down
what's
there.
going on.
Go for it.
I have to add this. So everyone keep in mind,
It's hard to be in.
because everyone is taking this literal. None of this really happened. Remember that. Remember, there's two realities in this page. There's two truths, okay? None of this happened like this. The state has a problem. These texts are real, and the state has to work around and create a narrative around these texts.
Yeah.
That's a problem that they have. This is the best they could do to make it make sense. And it still doesn't make sense to you.
It's not working, right?
And we keep while trying to read these documents and these texts, we're trying to like understand it like it's literal and like it happened that way. But don't confuse yourself and do that. Don't get hung up and spend too much energy saying, well, Xana's laying right there. Why didn't she do this and that? I mean,
But why?
yeah,
These people are dead.
They're going to
Right.
testify to that. They've been coached to say these things, but
Talking from a human standpoint.
so in a way it is reality, because they're going to, for whatever reason, they're going to hold to that story the best they can. And Anne's job will be to trip them up, because, if something
she's definitely
isn't
gonna
truth,
Yeah.
you what's the saying? If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So at any rate, I just couldn't stay in the chat.
No, I get it. I understand what you're saying, and I think
not
most
say
of us
any
do
of this,
realize.
but
Right.
yeah, don't get hung up too
The
much
thing is-
on
the
this.
thing is,
This
I
is
think-
not reality.
So to see your friend dead and not dial 911, I don't understand. What's the real reality?
Well,
Could you ask that again, Willie?
that's sorry.
Say that again, Willie.
What's
Can
the
you hear
real
him?
reality?
There you go.
Oh, well, we don't know that. They're going to testify to it. So I guess
No.
in a way,
Yeah, but I'm asking you because the truth lies somewhere in here.
The PCA certainly isn't reality. What's up, guys?
That's been gone for a minute, Kane. You know that.
we'll
dude.
never know what really happened that night. None of us ever will. And
No.
that's-
Well,
All I'm saying is, in these families' minds, according to Steve, who probably put in all these families' minds, Ethan had to break down the door to get in, and that's why she summoned help over and never knew anything happened. That's what Steve G's coming out and saying. This right here, this document, the judge has basically admitted that she saw Zen on the way down to Bethany. We didn't know that before. So is
Right.
that's true or
I
not
guess
true? You're saying
that's the grand jury testimony
is
that
it
they
my
gave.
connection?
what's the matter, Willie?
Yeah, I would believe that he got that from the grand jury transcript.
Well,
Really?
this doesn't even match up with what Steve was saying, Eddie. So,
Well, Steve, he's not an authority. What
Right,
Steve says
right.
means nothing to us.
but this just proves though that he's putting out misinformation he shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So, and I didn't mean that with respect too. I know what he's been through, but like he's caused some problems. That's what Sarge's video was all about putting all that
he's
shit
been
out.
coming after people that. Well, he's been coming after people that bring up the whole 8-hour situation and stuff like that. Now we know that she saw Xana, and in my opinion, and just me, my stopwatch starts right there. As soon as she sees Xana laying there, bang, there's your stop. And from that point on until when 911 is called, all that bullshit she did in between, I have a problem with. I'm sorry, because
I have to agree. I have
Yeah.
to agree with
Xana was
Willie.
dead.
Welcome, love. Yes, I agree. And like I said, guys, we're gonna read through this and we're gonna take it for what it is. But remember one thing, that what Eddie said here is take it with a grain of salt, because this is a testimony based on fiction, in my opinion. Okay, and we have to.
But the
take
state's
that
still
for what it is.
contradicting themselves, and they're going to have to answer for it. That's
Yeah,
going to
right.
be reality.
True.
Right. Yep, absolutely. So, thank you guys all for joining us up here tonight. I'm very, very interested in your thoughts. And Eddie, thank you for putting that out there like that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So moving back into this work of fiction here. Let me back up to find where I was. Thank you again, Kane. I didn't know if you heard me, bro. Thanks for joining us, and love you both, all of you guys. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate you for having me on, man.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely, guys. So there was no response, which Dylan thought was strange because Kaylee and Madison were early wakers. Dylan continued accessing various social media sites, including checking Ethan and Xana's Snap Map. Somebody tell me what the hell Snap Map is. I have no idea.
You can bring it up and see where like other people are or like where their last location is if they have that turned on in their settings.
Okay, and it's connected to Snapchat, I take it.
Yeah, like if you're on the Snapchat app, there's literally like a map of America, or I mean, I'm sorry, the world.
Oh wow,
literally the world. So like you can see like they have like hot spots, they would call them, where you can see what's going on in Italy, or they hear Moscow, Idaho. Like if there's a bunch of kids live on Snapchat, it would show up on Snapchat feed. Am I right, you guys?
I didn't know that. Okay.
Wouldn't it like show up as a fire, like not a fire spot? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's mainly used by like couples.
Like if they were recording that night, that is a theory, wouldn't it have like garnered a lot of attention on Snapchat? Don't you think? Outside of the university, even?
It should, yeah. Yeah, it should. And thank you, Kate, so much again for that super chat. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much. Wow. Okay, so we know what Snap Map is, and then it says at approximately 11:40, Dylan's father texted her about scheduling a time for a chat, to which Dylan responded. She also received 2 texts from a person named Jenna stating, bro, and do you guys need me to come get you?
Who the fuck's Jenna?
Jenna. I know that name.
Oh no.
Hey Jane. Jenna.
I've never heard of a Jenna, but I have to be honest, that does sound like a legitimate girl response. That's why I kind of came up here to be like the
your roommates are dead. You want me to take you up?
I'm 10 to 15 years older than them, but I was once a 21-year-old
Jenna McClure.
Okay. Don't let them use this blackout Borg thing. I'm sorry, you guys underestimate us women. We can literally handle our liquor sometimes.
Thank you, Heather.
Some of us can. I don't want you to underestimate it.
That's Bethany's boyfriend's sister. Okay, Jenna McClure.
Oh wow.
Bethany's boyfriend's
That's
sister.
weird.
So well, here's my question though. Stop for a minute, guys. Why is she saying bro? That's kind of like a drama expression. And do you guys need me to come get you? Meaning, why? Did she tell her something already that we don't know?
Well, to me, that's a perfect response to, hey, my roommates are dead. Can you come pick me up, bro?
Or hey, I mean, honestly, like Willie, you're right. How do you get around not saying something serious at least happened to our roommates, and I'm scared, and I need you to come pick us up? Like as a young girl at one time, that makes total sense. But how do you get around it not saying
what's up?
Why are you asking to get picked up?
Going on?
But like, if you know something's wrong, right, and you're like calling, asking to be picked up, why the hell aren't you calling? Goddamn help!
Absolutely.
It still never happened, right?
They weren't involved.
Let's put cops aside. If your friend's lying there and you believe she's quote unquote drunk, and they weren't home until. Okay, so let's think about this, right? They weren't home until after 2. Now, it seems like. So then I want to know if any point in time, if Dylan saw Xana before she saw her laying in the hallway. Because if Xana ordered DoorDash and, went and got it and was yada, 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 all of a sudden she's laying down in the hallway when you just saw her absolutely fine.
I think Xana might have been the only one brave enough and maybe heard it before Ethan to get up and actually go look at for something.
My point is Dylan doing nothing. But my whole point is Dylan doing nothing to help.
Yeah, that's
the people that are hurt.
Inconsistent, wrong. And also, I just wanted to also come up here and say, don't you think being any, whether on whatever scale you want to call them, on the drunkenness scale, drinking alcohol lowers inhibitions. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And being, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, ladies out there, am I just, did I come from a feral group of girls that I love? But I mean, in college, thank God I had them, because we were so feral. Like, we would have scared the intruder off. And like, I just can't imagine if you are intoxicated, you'd be more willing to go upstairs and check, is my point to all that nonsense. That's my
Yeah.
point. You
No,
would
I
be
get it.
less scared. You'd be more brave. You would go up there and be like, what the heck is going on in my house with my
Yeah.
roommates,
Well, remember in a PCA, it says that it led Dylan to believe that the suspect left the scene when she saw him head towards the kitchen, right? So when she
Right.
walked out of the room and didn't see anybody upstairs and figured the guy already left, you had all the time in the world. Why not go over and just say, "Hey, Xana, are you okay?" It's freaking 2 steps.
It's
Yeah,
just-
not only that, but
Open
how
your
about
mouth.
lock the door?
Why didn't you
Lock
yell
the
at her?
door.
Why didn't
Exactly,
you yell down the
Dago.
hallway at her?
It's disgusting how
It'll
we have to
never
sit here
make
and
sense
believe
to me.
like, oh, she was
But-
a child
here's
that
the
didn't
thing, Hillary.
know.
Here's
Get the hell
thing,
out of
Hillary.
here.
Here's why it never
Imagine
happened.
this being your daughter.
Like Eddie
That's
said,
wild.
because none of this ever happened like this. That's what Eddie's saying, and
It has to be.
I gotta believe this. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure. Like I said, the
it's
truth
insane.
lies somewhere in the middle.
And Terry, that's one. She put that contact in her phone at 3:51 a.m.
But
So-
that
Who
means
do we
that
think
we have a
that
witness
is?
that's lying, and that's not cool, bro.
Well, it's absolutely, we know that at this point, and this is why I've been stating for the past 2 weeks now that I do believe, in my opinion, and purely speculatory, that Dylan is involved in this in some form or fashion. Maybe not hands on, but she knew something. She sure as hell
Yeah.
did. Okay. Otherwise, she'd have stopped as she went by and she saw her and said, "Xana, you all right, girl? What's up?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
That didn't even happen according to this. So
Not just say, oh, she's always drunk in the hallway. Get the hell out
Yeah,
of here.
I'm sorry. I've had fair weather friends when I was young, and not even them would walk by. Like me
Right.
facing a wall weirdly, like totally just bam
On
on
the
the
floor.
floor. Like,
on
no,
the
I'm
floor.
sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
No
Yes.
human with any decency would leave another human like
Well,
that.
my man just said,
But she
someone-
just ordered DoorDash. Would she pass out from eating too much?
No, it's
Mountain Man just said that someone without empathy would have checked on her. Period. Even without having empathy. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is insane. But anyway, let's keep going and get past the rest of it.
they really thought we were gonna believe this story.
Wild, isn't it?
They thought we were going to believe all of this. That's the
And
funny thing.
the sad thing is, there's probably people that are going over this right now, like we are, and believing the hell out of this.
That's the
Oh,
sad
they
part.
are. They are. They
I
leave
haven't even looked,
comments
but I'm
to
just
me. I don't
assuming.
even go
Guys.
out there. I'm not even like a Kohberger that like goes out there and really tries to get.
I hate
don't
that
try to
term.
get anyone fired up in the wrong way, ever. And
I don't believe that
people
there's
will
anything. I
snap
don't believe
so
it. I don't
hard at
believe
you.
in.
Those people that are the guilters, they are just like locked
Their volume
in
must be low.
on
I don't
how
believe it.
America's always been, and we don't want change. I think that's it. I think they're terrified of change.
I don't believe in. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I don't believe in pro burgers. I believe in justice and truth.
Thank you.
And that's what
I
we
know
want,
they're
guys.
they just like anyone does when you're right. They're intimidate. If you intimidate someone, they're gonna make up a name for you.
Well, Lily, this is what the judge put out. This is the judge's is look. If you
You're
look up
saying
here,
the judge is believing
That's
this.
so
This
unprofessional.
is the
Well,
judge's
remember
order.
we talked about that. You know, the judge basically said both sides have to agree to some kind of narrative. Here it is.
That's for the tip. But
I
yeah,
couldn't even
still.
believe that was.
I'm just
his
saying, like,
advice.
I'm just saying his
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
just kind of where he's going with this dude. He's
This is the judge's opinion, like Tomboy said, and that tells
Yeah.
me all I need to know right there.
exactly. That's why I asked you in the beginning. Is this the judge saying this shit? Like, what?
It's crazy. I know. All right.
This sounds even worse.
Well,
Than
the
the
judge
PCA.
actually,
Oh, wait. We got more that gets even better. I just saw at the bottom down here. So this is nuts. Here we go. So do you need me to come get you guys? At approximately 11:50, Dylan called her friend EA, which we know who that is, and asked her to come over and checked the house because she was scared. EA and her boyfriend, Hunter Johnson, came over, which is I knew they were together. Okay.
He was
They met
scared.
Dylan.
She was
They met
scared
Dylan and Beth. Hold
at
on,
noon, almost noon.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. They met Dylan and Bethany at the bottom floor of the house. Together, Dylan, Bethany, and Hunter started to walk up the stairs to the second floor. When they reached the second floor, Hunter went to the kitchen to grab a kitchen knife.
What?
Wait. When he came back out, Dylan saw Xana again for a split second.
Oh, my.
And I just started bawling because I thought she had just like, I don't even know. I thought maybe she was still just drunk and all asleep on the floor.
Now it's the daytime and she's not seeing blood. Bro, I'm done.
Yeah, I know. No, I can't believe the girls, but I can believe Hunter doing that, reacting that way, going to the kitchen to get a knife if they did call him to be like, we're so scared. Please come over. Like, oh my
Why
gosh.
though? Because remember, guys, if we
I would go to the kitchen and get it. I would do that. That's something I would do.
Then why was a 911 call? Somebody's drunk and passed out. Why was that? Why was that the whole thing for, nobody mentioned no blood after somebody grabbed a kitchen knife to defend themselves? Probably after he saw somebody stabbed to death. He was like, oh, let me grab a knife here.
Or maybe he did it before, which I
you got to pass Xana, don't you?
Reasonably do myself. If my friends invited me over being like, we're scared, I would.
If he goes up the steps,
what you said first. And
I guess
why are you calling me? Call 911, you dumb bee. Like, yeah. But like, I would be like, well, I guess if I'm the first one here, I'm gonna arm myself somehow, like I think Hunter was
for somebody that's drunk
an innocent. I'm just saying I think Hunter was an innocent,
and that's fine. But when he came back out,
I just find his action. All I was saying is I find his actions to be normal.
I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about what Dylan's seeing again here. Second time now, now it's daylight.
Well, you're on the ball, but the judge wants to, and the attorneys want to talk about all these. So like, it just needs.
I love this. I love that. I love that they're contradicting themselves. So should I.
So when let's see, hold on a minute now. Together, BM started walking up the stairs. They went in the kitchen. When he came back out of the kitchen, DM saw Xana again for a split second. And I just started bawling. I thought she had just like, I don't even know. I thought maybe she was still drunk and asleep on the floor. Bethany Funk also saw Xana laying on the floor. Okay, hold on. Hunter Johnson told Dylan and Bethany to get out. Emily, who had started up the stairs, also turned around after Hunter instructed her to not come any further. They both went outside. Shortly afterwards, Hunter exited the house and told them all to call 911. That's bullshit because they were on the phone already. So that's bullshit.
That already happened. That was just gonna say. Wait, was this before? I just thought you were describing the 911 call when you just read the last line.
So we know they were in the house before they called 911 already. There you go. Okay.
But he said get out to them again on the net. Oh boy.
That almost makes.
Oh, that's not good.
That just told its own story right there. Okay.
Oh, Nelly.
Read that again. Right. Read that again, Dago.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hunter told Dylan and Bethany to get out. Emily, who had started up the stairs, also turned around after Hunter instructed her to not come any further. They both went outside. Shortly afterwards, Hunter exited the house and told them to call 911. Which is exactly what went on during the 911 call.
So why the?
Oh my gosh!
But why the 911 call?
They reenacted the 911 call.
It was fake. That's why we all rubbed us all wrong.
We knew it was. Oh my god! We said it was staged, and we were.
All right, hold on. Let me get through the rest of this. He was pale white, and mentioned something about someone being unconscious.
Yeah, he was innocent.
Now, wait a minute. What time was that again? Hold on. That was at 11:50. 11:50.
Why is he staging a call if he's innocent?
11. Okay, that was
okay. That's
when
fair.
that all went down.
If that other call was staged and recorded at a different time, like that's.
Well, hold on.
And I've always stuck up for Hunter, but like
the judge just said before,
and physical reactions, being in the medical field myself, like it. he really seems genuine. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I've seen good movies too.
Okay,
Anyway,
you might be right. I'm not for
just saying.
anyone.
All right. So
Oh.
so at 11:56, this is 6 minutes after that situation happened, supposedly. Bethany called 911 from her cell phone and spoke to Caroline, I guess Carolyn Calvin, the 911 dispatcher. The call lasted 4 minutes and 11 seconds. During the call, the phone was passed around two different individuals, including Bethany Funk, Dylan Mortensen, Hunter Johnson, and an unidentified female speaker. Heaving, heavy breathing, and crying can be heard through the call. Bethany spoke first, stating something is happening. Something's happened in our house, and we don't know what. Bethany attempted to provide the address of the house to dispatch, but could not continue. At that point, an unidentified female speaker took the phone and provided the address, Bethany Funk's phone number. The following exchange ensued. 911 operator says, okay, tell me exactly what's going on. The female said, I'm one of the roommates who's passed out and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up. The operator says, okay. The girl says, okay. And they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. My operator says, and are you with the patient? Dylan gets on and says, hi, this is Dylan. 911 operator says, okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around. Dylan says, can I just tell you what happened pretty much? Operator says, what is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now? Dylan says, I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
I'm sorry.
That's a blatant lie right there, because you were just in the house.
I just can't anymore. It's like I'm just like,
I'm
what
so
in
close
the
to being
world?
done.
At 4 a.m.
All right.
Let me
Hold
tell you
on.
about
What'd you
this guy
say?
in the house.
What'd you say, Kane?
I said, let me tell you about this guy in the house at 4 a.m.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
nonchalant.
So-
I know. Like, it's just like, what?
So now the operator goes back and says, okay, I need to know what's going on right now. If someone is passed out, can you find that out? Dylan says, yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany. We got to go check, but we have to. She's passed out. She is. Or wait, it says we have to. Is she passed out? She's passed out. What's wrong? She's not waking up. Hunter says, Xana. Dylan then informed dispatch that Xana was 20 years old at that point. Hunter took the phone. Dispatch
What was
asked him if she was
so out of
breathing.
it?
I'm sorry.
Say that again, Diego.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I didn't want to lose the thought. Why was Bethany so out of it? Where Dylan was like, "No, come on, we have to." Like, what was she doing? Like,
Well,
no,
everything
I
that
don't
was
want to. No, I
everything
can't.
that happened was told to her, and then she saw what she said. They said she saw. So I don't know.
Okay.
Backseat PB and J, thank you, says nothing that comes out makes the roommates look better. Nothing. It goes worse every time. I agree. Thank you for that super chat.
I don't even know if that's on purpose or not.
So, yeah, I'll come. Come on, B. Blah blah blah. We got past that. What's wrong? She's not waking up. Hunter says Xana. Dylan gets on and says, then informed the dispatch that Xana was 20. At that point, Hunter took the phone. Dispatch asked him if she was breathing, to which he said no. Law enforcement arrived at that point, and after confirming with Dylan that the responding officer had a defibrillator, dispatch ended the call. Later, at approximately 1:04 p.m. that day, Dylan received a vandal alert regarding the homicide. Wow. Okay, so the analysis of this. Okay, I need a minute. Guys, you can discuss this real quick. I'll be right back.
I was gonna say I need readers as the analysis of this, but I'm not trying to make light out of this. It's obviously we're all here because we care so much.
What's up, Kane?
What do you think? I don't know. I mean, I could barely get through it at this point without almost, if it wasn't so horrific, laughing at Dylan and Bethany. I can't see the comments, so I'm sorry if people don't like me or do. But what's your opinions on the 911 call? Do you think it was real? Do you think it was real time? Do you think
I mean, it sounds like they already did what they already acted out. They already went through the motions of what they acted out on the 911 call. That's what I see. I don't know.
Hard.
Eddie? Kane?
Yeah.
Help here?
Backseat
No,
PBJ.
we knew it. I just am having like a kind of.
No, I want their opinion on this.
Like,
You know.
I think that's why even Diego had to be like, I need a moment.
Yeah, I'm literally processing this thing right now with the knife and the going upstairs and turn. I don't know. It definitely doesn't shine a good light, but I think.
Okay.
Go ahead, Diego.
They just
No,
totally
finish your
the
thought, Kenny. Go
government,
ahead,
the
bud.
law enforcement. Like, I'm just say it, Willie. Just say it.
Huh?
What were you saying,
They
Kane?
all lied.
Yeah.
It's great. This is crazy.
The whole thing.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just an
were you
innocent
saying
nobody
something,
this.
Eddie?
Yeah, I was.
All right, go ahead, Eddie. I'm sorry.
So I was just commenting on backseat PBJ's comment that
Okay.
you posted. Nothing that comes out makes the roommates look better, and that's right. They are being used. They are being thrown under the bus by the state. It is true.
That's what it looks like.
I knew it. I knew it was gonna happen.
Thank you, Cat Lover, for the super chat, and says this is such a great live. I do appreciate that so very much. Thank you.
Nice, Cat Lover. Nice.
So when Dylan is on the phone and she's trying to spit out this narrative, and she's following directions. She's got a script, that she's been told to stay on, and she's trying to stay on it. So that's why she's trying to explain the 4 a.m., what happened at 4 a.m., because that's important to get on the record, so to speak.
This is crazy, guys. I mean, it would explain, like, it almost feels like Dylan, this again is why Bethany wasn't in the PCA or anything. I think Bethany was kept in the dark about all of this stuff until Dylan presented this to her piece for piece, and then we go into this whole thing. Typically Unique has been a member for 3 months. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that.
What's up, Kimmers?
Panel.
Eddie, I really like where you're going with that.
And happy day anniversary.
Happy day anniversary. Okay. Congratulations, man. You got a great show. I really love watching you guys.
Thank you, buddy. Go ahead.
The where Eddie's going with that is, if you look at it, if she had come up with the plan, if she had written the script, so to speak, she would have been much more proficient at it. It's like she's like she's trying to remember. She's not like an actress that can remember her lines. She is flubbing the whole thing.
Yes, I agree. It's almost like she's looking over her shoulder, like maybe someone is in proximity. It feels
giving
like
her prompts or something. Sure.
I don't know. I feel like it. Remember how I said before, and I've said this more than once, that there were pawns in this case. I think there were multiple people that were pawns that were used for things in this. The way this is looking, it's getting worse and worse. James the Carpenter, welcome. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying. And Bethany definitely seems like she is one as well, the way that this has been presented. But we don't, I'm just saying this is all purely speculative theory based on what we're getting right now. The whole case is basically speculative theory at this point. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
bud.
Let me just throw this in.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, one thing we've been speculating on over there with Janet the Purge is whether or not Dylan's uncle is the DA. Does anybody have any further on that right now? Because when I look at this case, it screams strings being pulled, because we know strings get pulled all the time, right? It's not news. It's nothing new. And
sure.
When you look at all this cover up, it's got to be somewhere pretty far up there.
There's somebody else brought something to my attention a while back.
This was Brian.
About the district attorney knowing somebody and being close to somebody. Don't quote me yet, because I don't remember. I'm going to have to go back and find that, and I can bring that to you guys at a later date. But that's interesting that you said that. That's quite interesting. We do know that her mother, that Dylan's stepmother, is an attorney. Okay. She works in that area, and she's definitely an attorney. Dylan's dad is also somebody that's very well known. Her boyfriend is involved in things that he shouldn't be. There's a lot.
So,
There's a lot of key people in this. Yeah.
well, now we know why she lawyered up right away, hey?
Right. And Detective Mowry said, no, he's not the DA. Okay.
Yeah, wouldn't
Thank
you? Wouldn't you?
I mean, I would have just dialed 911, bro. What you have to have a motive to not want to help your friend for a whole work day.
Or 2 years.
And then at the same time, Willie, you're believing that this is a real situation that me and you would be involved in, that things we would do. This is a whole disaster.
But why is it? But here's my question to you guys: if everybody was already in the house and saw what went down, why is why is the 911 call not what we would expect?
Why did it go back and why'd they replay the 911 call like they just did what they did in the house?
Yeah, why they? It seemed like everybody just dropped their emotions, and it was like they're just going inside. Ethan yells, or I'm sorry, Hunter yells, "Get out, get out!"
Yeah, right.
Well, what the? They're already in there.
Now here's my other problem. Stop for a minute. Back up. This is my other problem. I just caught this a few minutes ago. Where did it go?
I'm in the fucking twilight zone. I need to smoke something.
I am definitely tripping. I'm tripping a little bit.
Oh, this has been I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but it's definitely been the Twilight Zone.
This isn't. I mean, I get what you're saying, Eddie, that this isn't true and all that, but just the audacity to put out 2 stories like this and for them to contradict themselves is just insanity to me, I guess.
What I want to know at this point, based on what we heard on the call and what they just stated here, first and foremost, real quick, Mark and Betty, congratulations on 9 months. Happy day anniversary to you. Appreciate you guys very much. He says 9 months is as a meatball, my baby meatball is due. There you go, bro. Tomboy saying after 19 months, which has been longer than this for sure, but lies, all lies. Yes, ma'am. So real quick, Hunter made everybody exit the house, and then it says shortly afterwards he exits the house and he's pale white. What was he doing in the house after everybody else left? That he came out shortly afterwards? I think at that point that he did a little looking and saw everything. Being pale white, okay? He knew everything at that point. If we're to believe it.
Dude, if all 4 people saw Xana, why did nobody tell the dispatcher
why
there
aren't
was
they
blood?
all pale white? It should be a group of doves coming out of there.
Yeah, right. And then you have like Dylan, or one of Bethany to Dylan, or Dylan to Bethany, being like, "We have to go back. We have to go inside and check out what happened."
Maybe he was pale white because he had just seen it for the first time, where they had been accustomed to it for, like Willie said, an entire workday.
Well, yeah, and if I don't
But
think
they saw it.
I don't think they saw as much as he saw based on what we're reading here, or they either that or they're cold-hearted to some extreme. Okay, I'll say that. At least Dylan would be, because she would be the one, in my opinion, that would have seen everything. Bethany just saw a glimpse of this supposedly, so I don't know. Because again,
here's the thing, though. Look at it this way:
we don't know how
Hunter's reaction was exactly what you and I's reaction would be. Go grab a knife, save myself first, then call 911. Protect.
Why would you? Here's my thing, though, bro.
But then why stage the call?
Let me say this real quick too before we go past that at all, because you just said it right there. And real quick, Lily Rose, congratulations on 15 months. I know it's longer than that for you as well. Happy day anniversary, and thank you so much, all of you guys, for being meatballs for so long here, guys. I appreciate that so very much. Why did Hunter grab a knife if he goes into this house thinking that somebody's passed out? Think about that for a minute. Xana's passed out.
Wouldn't he have seen Xana when he on his way to get a knife?
He did after he came out. But why did you go get the knife in the first damn place if you think somebody's passed out? You don't need a knife to check on somebody that's passed out.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So he was already told something happened.
That's my point. Okay. And thanks. Sorry if I didn't explain it right. I'm sorry.
No, I got you.
Now, once we got past that there and all this here, where do we start? Okay, so the analysis on this. The state seeks to admit. Oh, hold on a minute. Miss Macy, thank you so much for that super chat. God bless. I love that you love the channel. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you again for that. So very generous. God bless. The state seeks to admit Dylan and Bethany's phone records from November 13th of 22. including the call records and text messages, as well as illicit testimony by Dylan and Bethany regarding their communications with each other on the 13th of November that they testified to before the grand jury. The state also seeks to admit 911 call and the official transcript thereof. The state argues these records and communication are not hearsay, or they are accepted from hearsay as excited utterances or present sense impressions. Defendant objects, arguing that apart from Hunter Johnson's statement to 911 that Xana was not breathing, the exceptions do not apply to the hearsay statements. The court finds the bulk of the statements are likely admissible, with 3 exceptions of statements made during the 911 call. Hearsay is an out-of-court statement admitted to prove the truth of the matter. Hold on a minute here. I just lost something. 1 second.
This is insanity.
Well, did you hear Hitler's reaction, Willie, to all the counter
He's a
motions by the defense?
Not yet.
No,
Say again?
I was talking about Hitler's reaction to all the motions by the defense.
Well,
I'll give
that's
you
what some of
summation
this.
that.
Yeah, some of these that have been dropped is what this was one of them, but there's a few other ones that he's put out, and I don't even know, dude. I don't
Pretty
understand
much what he
this.
said to all of them was, the jury can decide for themselves. The rest of y'all can go fuck yourselves.
Good.
Yeah, in a sense per se, yeah, you could call it that.
It should be.
Good way to put it, dude. It's a good way to put it.
Anybody with some common sense is looking at this like, what the?
There's no common sense attached to this anymore, Willie. None.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you have, just somebody with half a brain looking at this, you're not convicting Brian.
Agreed. And this is
Everyone in this
taking
situation looks guiltier than Brian. Every single person in that area.
Right?
these two specifically, the two roommates, in my opinion. Okay.
Yeah. Now these two that went over and it sounds like they staged a 911 call. I'm sorry, dude.
Well, the way that I just read, that's exactly what it sounds like. They went in and did all that, and then they reenacted it again when they called 911.
That's the weirdest shit I've ever heard. Sorry.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And I agree with that, Echo. It says it's so disrespectful to Kaylee, Maddie, Zan, and Ethan. It absolutely is. Every bit of it. Every bit of it is. They deserve way better and more justice and real truth on this, and that's fact. So,
and that's what people don't understand of, why we're here talking about this like we do. They think that we're, Kohbergers. It's more like we just want actual justice
and truth. That's right. And we haven't gotten it, obviously, the whole fucking time. Excuse my language, but I'm so irritated right now.
Yeah, you should be. It's crazy.
Nothing. It's all garbage. And this Heather just said, no wonder why they gagged everything for so long. It's all bullshit.
Well,
anyway,
if I'm the state, chat said that the reason that the G's are going along with the narrative so well is that the prosecution keeps promising this bucket of gold at the end of the rainbow, as long as they go along with everything that they do.
They're leading them along. Exactly, Kane. Exactly, dude. They're leading them along by their nose just to keep them just to keep them satisfied till they can get to the trial. Yep. And then what's going to happen? Because, they don't
realize there's no pot of gold.
Unbelievable. That's a very good way to look at that. I mean, that's truly what it is. And Sweet and Salty said 11:55, 56, or 58. Which one is it? Great point.
We still have to get the DP.
Great point. Noel, thank you so much for that. Again, we still have to get the DP off the Noel has a good point, because listen,
Brian Kohberger doesn't stand a chance in an Idaho courtroom. All this bullshit narrative is now ingrained in whatever prospective juror's head going into this.
Yes, sir.
You got Hitler's already working the prosecution, and he basically says the jury can decide for themselves. The rest of you can go fuck yourselves. He doesn't care. He's gonna push this thing through, and he is another puppet, in my opinion.
And you can tell by this. And this that he doesn't give a shit what's going on. It seems, you know what I mean. He just wants it to be over with. I'll hear what you're saying. Say what you're saying. Okay, we're done yet. That's what I'm getting off of this guy.
He already knows the appeals are going to be up his ass, so he's like, just get it over with.
He needs to retire after this, or whatever he needs to do, but he needs to go away. I just don't like the dude. Sorry.
Yeah, man.
I've kind of watched some of the in watching back that last hearing. I'm sorry, Diego. They
Right.
I noticed Nye, and he's doing all these little gestures and shit. And this is when Hitler's like this, and it's almost like a third base coach calling the shots. He's touching the ear. I mean, and then Hitler's like, it's almost like Hitler is like, oh God, I can't perpetuate this stupid bullshit anymore.
Well, he said it from the beginning, dude. He was pissed.
Well, he's a political figure. He's an elected official. We know in politics, people be pulling your strings at the top, and you know that Scott Comer Green is one of them, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. In this case, yes, because the man's been involved in absolutely everything, and he shouldn't be involved in any of this. So, yeah, 100%.
They were holding the meetings for how they would talk to the press in his office.
Heather, what the? What do you say, bro?
Meg said, "Is Steve doing a Q&A right now?"
Right now on
the Drunk Turkey Show? No
way. Steve saw this. He's like, "Oh, fuck no, I'm going all out tonight."
Wow. Diego, you should stream the stream. Live stream or live stream? Oh my God.
No, don't do that. It's not smart to do.
Hunter's knocking.
I want to hear what Steve G has to say, bro. What?
No, I'm going to go back and watch it. I'm just saying it's not smart for him to do as far as come out.
It's really not, in my opinion. But Eve just said, please check the 911 call. Hunter is knocking, not seeing Xana right away. The door was closed on the call. Judge's words are wild or lies, because we heard at some point through that 911 call what sounds to me like they're talking about taking the screen off from the outside of the room to look in the room and climb through. And she says, no. Where did that go? All you got to do is walk up the stairs and look down the hall based on what we're hearing here. This is insane. None of this makes any damn sense.
I want to know I would love to know what Steve thinks about this specific document. Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be an interview after this is put out.
This is crazy.
Mr. Girl says that DT says we'll be shocked at what Steve has to say. We'll see about that. Unless he turns it over.
Yeah, right.
And it's like he opens his mouth and
if I'm Xana's family, I'm calling him like, yo, enough with backing Dylan and saying, she didn't know nothing, because right there she saw my daughter laying on the effing ground.
Think about something, and SRB's got a point. Guys, we were told for 2.5, almost 3 years that door was closed. Now all of a sudden it's wide open.
The bedroom door?
That bedroom door was closed.
To Xana.
Yes, we were told that for years now. Now all of a sudden today it's wide open and you can see her laying on the floor.
Yeah, but we were told by her.
Walked right by. And this is the bloodiest crime scene that left all of the MPD with PTSD, right?
It was so bad. Listen, one more point.
No blood.
From the outside of the house, in Xana's bedroom, you see the blood is so bad that it's coming down the foundation of the house. You didn't see any blood in that room?
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, you gave her the benefit of the doubt of being nighttime, but now you're talking about the daytime?
Right. Come on. This is bullshit.
Here,
sorry.
You have to figure also, like, no matter what somebody, the perpetrator, the alternate perpetrator was wearing,
bullshit.
If you're coming from upstairs or you're coming from Xana's room, you're tracking it too. You're tracking the blood up and down and all around, and by the time they were done cleaning up, there was a little left under the stair rail and maybe under Maddie's fingers, and that was it. But
yeah,
this is absolute insanity at this point. And I mean, I did not expect it to go this haywire. I didn't. But I mean, seriously, come on.
Yeah, this is weird.
All right, let me get to this last part. Yeah, it is. It truly is. Wisdom, I got to tell you once again, the day that we started covering this case, Wisdom Speaks said, Dago, I'm telling you, This is not going to be like any other case you've ever seen. This is not what you think it is.
Yeah.
This is way out there, and she was on point, folks. On point.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me read the rest of this and get through this part here.
Yeah, because Brian's the only piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit any of this.
At all.
Exactly,
Not even
exactly.
remotely. Not even remotely. All right. The state also seeks to admit the 911 call and the official transcript thereof. I think I went past that. The court finds the bulk of the statements are likely admissible, with 3 exceptions of the statements made during the 911 call. Hearsay is an out-of-court statement admitted. We started reading through that. Okay. To prove the truth of the matter asserted to be hearsay, the statement must be intended as an assertion of fact and offered by the proponent for purposes of proving the truth of the assertion. If a statement is hearsay to be admitted, it must fall under an exception. Hearsay statements on a 911 call can typically be admitted into evidence under either the public record or business record exceptions to the hearsay rule. However, because citizens who call 911 are not under any duty to report, a recorded statement by a citizen must satisfy a separate hearsay exception. Typically, these exceptions include the present sense impression exception and the excited utterance exception. Clifford, Present sense impression exception authorizes the admission of hearsay if it is a statement describing or explaining an event or condition made while or immediately after the declarant perceived it. The rationale justifying the exception is that the immediacy of the statement offers no opportunity for fabrication. The rule recognizes that in many, if not most, instances, precise contemporaneity is not possible possible, and hence a slight time lapse is allowable. Advisory committee note emphasis added that in Kohberger, the Idaho Supreme Court observed that time lapses as short as 45 minutes have been considered too long to invoke the protection of the exception. The excited utterance exception to the hearsay rule authorizes the admission of hearsay if the testimony recounts a statement relating to a startling event or condition, while the declarant was under the stress of excitement caused by the event or condition. To fall within the excited utterance exception, 1, there must be startling event that renders inoperative the normal reflective thought process of the observer, and 2, the declarant's statement must be a spontaneous reaction to that event rather than the result of reflective thought. In considering whether a statement meets the excited utterance requirements, the totality of circumstances must be considered, including the amount of time that elapsed between the startling event and the statement, the nature of the condition or event, the age and condition of the declarant, the presence or absence of self-interest, and whether the statement was volunteered or made in response to a question. There is no bright line rule as to the allowable time span between the event and the statement, and one likely should not be drawn. As with the present, sense impression exception, the rationale underlying the excited utterance exception is the special reliability, which is regarded as furnished by the excitement suspending the declarant's powers of reflection and fabrication. Jesus. So, A, the text messages and verbal conversations between Dylan and Bethany are likely admissible. As an initial matter, the court finds that Dylan and Bethany's acts of making phone calls, sending or receiving text message, and other phone activities such as accessing social media are not hearsay. Hearsay only captures an oral assertion, written assertion, or nonverbal conduct intended as an assertion. Thus, this order will focus on the content of those calls and texts to the extent available. As to the content of Dylan and Bethany's messages about what Dylan saw, the court finds that they are either not hearsay because they are not offered for the truth of the matter asserted or not assertions, or if hearsay, they likely qualify as present sense impression or excited utterance. That's bullshit. You saw what you saw and you claimed what you saw. That's all you're testifying to. That doesn't make it hearsay.
This fucking guy.
You saw it. It was visually in front of your face. You saw it. You clarify what you saw, and that's it. That's bullshit to me. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Let me reread line 2 there for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jury can decide for themselves. The rest of you can go fuck yourselves.
Right, I get it. matter asserted here, say like a present sense impression excited utterance set forth. In Exhibit A, here too, their verbal discussions are potentially admissible for the same reasons. The state must establish the foundational requirements for such proffered statements at the time of trial. Dylan Mortensen texts Uber driver at 2:10:29 to inquire if he's driving. The state seeks to introduce this text to establish a timeline, specifically to establish Dylan was awake and texting at 2:10. Defendant does not directly challenge the text because it is not offered for the truth of the matter asserted and or not an assertion of fact. The court finds it is not hearsay under IRE 801. Now, 2, the text messages between 422 and 426. The state argues that the 4-minute series of text messages between Dylan and Bethany, with one from Dylan to Kaylee, are admissible as either present sense impressions or excited utterances. The defendant suggests neither exception applies because there is no evidence that they were sufficiently startled by the events. He points out that Dylan claimed only to be confused, and despite stating she was scared, she ran to Bethany's room instead of leaving the house or otherwise calling other friends and family for help. The court agrees with the state for those texts qualifying as assertions. She was scared to death based on what they said in the text messages, but okay. First, the present sense impression exception does not require a startling event. It simply requires that the speaker describe. Well, wait a minute. So saying that I'm freaked the fuck out is not startling? Anyway, this is so dumb. That the speaker describe or explain a condition while personally perceiving it or immediately thereafter. Most of Dylan Mortensen's texts to Bethany satisfy this exception. She first texts no one is answering, which describes the results of her calls to the other roommates. Just moments before, she also states what she is immediately feeling: confused, freaked out, and scared over what she just saw and heard, and the fact that none of her roommates are answering. She further describes the intruder she saw wearing a ski mask or something over his forehead and mouth. She also relays that her phone is going to die. Thus, these statements are all likely admissible as present sense impressions, okay? In addition, the events are sufficiently startling to both Dylan and Bethany for purposes of the excited utterance exception. Dylan and Bethany are young female college students and the self-described scaredy cats of the house. Back to the footnote real quick. Several of the texts in the exchange are not assertions of fact, but rather inquiries and or commands incapable of being proved true or false. Her text states that she was screwed or scared, considering that the A is right next to the caps lock key and the E is right next to the W key. It is evident that she was likely texting quickly and accidentally mistyped scared. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Whatever. Described as the scaredy cats of the house. They were awoken from sleep after a night of drinking with DM, reporting that she heard noises and saw a masked intruder in her home. None of the other roommates were responding to their calls and texts, further indicating something was amiss. It would be potentially terrifying for anyone, including these young women, to argue that they would have run out of the house or called someone else for help, and had they really been startled unempathetically, ignores these circumstances and the trauma and confusion they were evidently experiencing, which likely offset logical thought.
What? They're the scaredy cats of the house?
Willie, do you think that excuse would work for us?
What a fucking what a statement!
That was the scary.
What a statement! Wow, dude.
So the footnote that it refers to says defendant's argument also ignores the fact that Dylan indicated to Bethany that the intruder was leaving the house, in which case is not surprising the girls did not want to run outside, had the thought crossed their minds at all. Then why didn't they run out if they thought so and lock the doors? I'm just saying that. Anyway. Sorry, guys. Where the hell was I now? Oh, yeah, right here. Indeed, the girls' fear and confusion is evident in their words, with both questioning what was going on, Dylan stating that she was freaked out, scared, and confused, and Bethany attempting to get them together quickly for safety. They were clearly under stress and attempting to make sense of a frightening situation. Additionally, the time period that elapsed between what Dylan saw in her communications with Bethany, about the same, was a matter of minutes. The text messages, exchanged last approximately 4 minutes. with the messages occurring in rapid succession. This timeline left no time for the reflection or fabrication, which ultimately seek to protect against. Consequently, the court concludes. One second.
Bro, this is some horse shit.
Additionally, time period left. Court concludes that the assertive text messages within this 4-minute period are likely admissible as present sense impressions and or excited utterances, assuming the requisite foundation is provided at the time of trial. Okay, number 3, Dylan texts 2 victims at 4:32. Dylan texted Kaylee, please answer. The state argues that this text is admissible as a present sense impression and an excited utterance. Defendant does not directly address the text. However, the court finds it is more of a command or request than an assertion of fact. It is not a fact capable of being proved true or false. Thus, it is not barred by IRE 801. At 10:23, Dylan texts Madison asking, are you up? And approximately an hour later, Dylan texted Kaylee, are you up? The state argues the foregoing texts are not hearsay because they will not be introduced for the truth of the matter asserted. Alternately, the state contends they are present sense impressions because they represent a consistency and continuation of DM's text. Number 9 says that even if it were an assertion, if it would qualify as a present sense impression and or excited utterance, Dylan had just seen a masked man in her home minutes prior after hearing unusual noises, and none of her roommates, other than Bethany, are responding to her calls and texts. Her fear is evident in the words she used. Please answer. It is less of a request or assertion and more of a desperate plea out of concern that something is wrong. Defendant disputes the exception applies, pointing out that Dylan had been awake and accessing social media before she said the text. Again, the court does not find these texts to be assertions. They are inquiries, not declarative statements. Even if they were assertions, however, if the state intends to admit the statements to establish a timeline of events, they are not hearsay because they are not offered to establish their truth. Therefore, they are not barred by 801 again. And the state contends that the text between Dylan and her dad, the text from JM, and the vandal alert are not hearsay because they will be offered simply to show a timeline for the morning and early afternoon. In addition, the state notes the phone call from DM to EA is not a statement and therefore not hearsay. The court agrees and will allow the evidence for purpose of a timeline. Of course, again, if the requisite foundation is laid. And the state next contends that it intends to ask Dylan and Bethany at trial about statements they made to each other on November 13th. It argues the testimony will likely replicate that provided by these witnesses at the grand jury proceeding. The state contends they are not admissible. Under the present sense impression and or excited utterance exceptions, defendant does not directly address the argument. To the extent Dylan and Bethany seek to testify about the content of the calls, text, and conversations about what they perceived during the 4:30 time frame, they could be potentially admissible under the exceptions cited by the state. However, the state must establish the foundational requirements for each proffered statement. The grand jury testimony does not appear to include any conversations between them. Hold on a minute.
Take it there.
Willie, have you ever heard of anything that made more excuses?
Never.
Why do they need to tell what it means? Like, let the jury decide what it means.
I don't,
grand jury.
dude. I don't believe for a second that Judge Hepler wrote all this. Because I don't know, dude. This is odd.
Willie, you're saying what I've been thinking for a long time is that I keep calling it an army of attorneys behind him, but my meaning is that there's help. It feels like there is, I don't know, I'd call them federal attorneys. guiding him
He ain't
to
writing all this.
to get all this written up.
Yeah, he didn't even know what the hell was going on during the hearings, Now all of a sudden he has a whole understanding of this, that, and the third. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, and again, it's something that we can sense, but there's no way to prove it.
Oh, I know, but
This is all his work. He did it all by himself.
Yeah, sure.
He has selective understanding. He can't grasp the simplest concept when the defense presents something. Needs experts to explain it at every step of the way. But when the prosecution presents something, oh yeah, he's all familiar with this, goes right along. Get along to go along with him. Just get along to go along. And I think one of the problems, and everybody poo-poos me on it, but I feel like Anne is just a little too timid. She needs to roar, and she needs to get that lion on.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what I said. I'd take a paid attorney over the best public defender any day of the week.
Well,
she's
they
no
won't
longer
let
a
him
public
in
defender.
because if you be an out-of-state attorney in Idaho, you have to get approved by the Idaho bar. And so they're not letting anybody in. Can you think of a case this big that didn't have some kind of either power-hungry attorney or just some established guy that didn't step in and try to help?
Nope.
Come on.
Do you want to read the rest of this, Willie?
Sure. Where we at?
Right. Just this last paragraph where it says to the extent to the bottom, and then oh yeah, there's more there. But anyway, you can just for a little bit, just last.
Where we at? So,
right there.
All right. To the extent DM and BF seek to testify about the content of the calls, text. Hold on, I gotta zoom back out now because you zoomed in.
Sorry, I was trying to make it so you can see it better.
It's all right. You can actually, when you're up here, you can actually zoom in. It lets you zoom in yourself. All right. To the extent DM and BF seek to testify about the content of the calls, texts, and conversations about what they perceived during the 4:30 time frame, that could be potentially admissible under the exceptions cited by the state. However, the state must establish the foundational requirements for such proffered statements. The grand jury testimony does not appear to include any conversations between them after 4:19 a.m. to 4:37 a.m. Time frame, and the state has not pointed any out. Thus, to the extent they testify to oral conversations they had after they woke up in the next morning, the court will reverse ruling and consider any hearsay objections at that point. 1 second.
Yeah, take your time, but
All right, sorry. All right, where we at?
Let me say something real quick, and I'm quoting everybody for my show tonight, but Miss Potts said it so eloquently when she said, what did she say? If one of my kids is calling me at 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning, they need something. Point blank, period. Yeah. There's an emergency.
Of course.
It's not a standard, hey, how you doing, Mom and Pop?
Yeah, or somebody's drunk. All of a sudden, you need your parents. You tell your parents while you're at college that somebody's drunk in your house. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, she's drinking Borg all night. Hey, Mom, I'm wasted. How you doing?
Yeah. All right, so the state does not address the content of the phone call. However, the court finds it likely qualifies as a present sense impression. DM testified that she asked EA to come over and check the house because she was scared. Sure. She is describing her fear at the time she is experiencing it. Beyond that, the specifics of what was said regarding what DM saw hours prior will have to be analyzed at the time of trial. C, the 911 call. The state contends that the entirety of the 911 call should be admitted because the statements therein are either non-hearsay, non-admitted for the truth of matter asserted, or they are accepted for the hearsay rule as present sense impressions and or excited utterances. Defendant generally objects to its admission, but takes particular issue with 3 statements within the call. The court finds defendant's objections to these specific 3 statements well placed, but will allow the balance of the call because the statements are either non-assertions, not admitted for their truth, and or they are expected from the rule as set forth in Exhibit B here too. Number 1, initial statements. The 911 call begins with BF telling dispatch something is happening, something's happened in our house, and we don't know what. The statement falls squarely within the present sense impression exception, given that BF was experiencing concern that something was wrong with their roommates, and HJ, Hunter Johnson, had just instructed her to call 911 after walking through the house. Thereafter, BF attempts to provide dispatch with the address of the house before an unidentified female speaker takes the phone and provides the address and BF's phone number. This exchange is not offered for the truth of the matter asserted and therefore not barred by the hearsay rule. 2, female, one of our roommates who passed out, and she was drunk last night and she was not waking up. The state argues that this statement is present sense impression because the female speaker is describing a scene around her. However, as defendant points out, the roommate at issue is in a statement is the statement is Xana. The only individuals who experienced saw Xana unresponsive were DM, BF, and HJ. Okay, so Emily didn't see her. The defendant contends the exception does not apply because the female speaker never saw Xana unresponsive and thus lacks first-hand knowledge of the information contained in the statement. Bullshit. The inquiry here turns on whether the event the female speaker is describing or explaining is that Xana is unresponsive, as defendant contends, or whether it is more generally the scene unfolding at the house that her friend saw Xana unresponsive. The female speaker did not personally perceive the former, but she did personally perceive the latter.
Hang on a minute, Willie. Hang on. Hold on. Sorry to interrupt, but this statement that Isabel just made is really, really blowing my mind right this second. She says, I think Dylan was told to shut the F up and get in her room by the perp, that he was there to help her. With what we saw in the PCA, that was the statement. She said she heard somebody say, I'm here to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be quite interesting if that statement that Isabel just put up there is actually what was stated?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But think about that for a minute. He was there to help her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It fits the fairy tale just perfect.
It's kind of crazy that the perpetrator's there to help Dylan with whatever she's doing. I'm saying it's I don't know. That stuck with me for a minute. I just had to say that out loud. Thank you for that, Isabel.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, go ahead, Willie. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, bud.
Where are we at?
You dropped. Just start from here. The inquiry here.
The inquiry here. Zoom in again. Here turns on whether the event the female speaker is describing or explaining is that Xana is unresponsive as defendant contends, or whether it's more generally the scene unfolding at the house. Read that already. The female speaker not personally pursue. Okay, the latter. Portions of the call may qualify under statements for purposes of medical treatment or diagnosis because the parties have not argued this exception applies. The court will reserve a ruling on it pending a foundation being laid, an opportunity to brief and argue its applicability. Can you zoom down? There you go.
All right, I can take over from here.
Okay.
Welcome, first, and everybody else I haven't seen yet. Welcome, good to see you. When the words themselves are considered, it is clear the event being described is that Xana is unresponsive, not the speaker's friends saw Xana unresponsive. In other words, she is relaying to 911 what her friends observed and relayed to her. Her statement is therefore outside her present sense impression and thus exception. 911 caller reporting that there's a cop beating the shit out of a guy right now was not a present sense impression because he was reporting what others in his house were seeing and describing to him. Thus, the statement is not admissible under that exception. And then number 3, female. Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. The state argues this statement is both a present sense impression and an excited utterance because it is in response to finding Xana unresponsive. The defendant responds that the statement references an event Dylan saw 8 hours prior to the 911 call and therefore is not contemporaneous. Defendant also points out that the female speaker does not have personal knowledge and is simply repeating what she was told by others. The court agrees that the present sense impression exception does not apply to the statement because the speaker is recounting what someone else perceived. Additionally, there is no contemporaneity since she's describing an event. Okay, I know you guys don't care about all this. Basically, all this is stating is what they're allowing and not allowing from the 911 calls and the text messages. By contrast, the Court of Appeals found the exception applied to 911 call made by the victim of a battery. Immediately after it happened, nothing. The tone of her voice on the audio recording showed that she was still under the stress of excitement caused by altercation. Okay.
What the fuck, dude? I mean, it's just literally one excuse after the other. One
I never seen
that
something
they
like
pay.
this.
It's like a list, dude.
Yeah, it is 100%. And it says here, likewise, the audio of the 911 call does not indicate that the speaker's normal reflective thought processes were rendered inoperative. Her voice sounds calm relative to Bethany's and Dylan's, although a slight nervousness can be detected in her voice. She's not audibly crying. So what? Or breathing heavily. In fact, the speaker took over speaking to dispatch because she was more composed than Bethany. Okay, I get that. Whatever. Who initiated the call further? The speaker did not personally see Xana unresponsive, nor did she see the man allegedly in the house. She is simply repeating what others told her. So the statement, that should be hearsay. The statement does not provide insight into her own thought process. Consequently, the statement must be redacted. So that's coming out. Okay. And then Dylan's attempts to explain events after the female speaker feeds the phone to DM. DM identifies herself and asks if she can tell the dispatch what happened. Dispatcher responds by asking what's going on and if somebody's passed out. The exchange will not be offered for the truth of the matter asserted and therefore is not hearsay. However, Dylan then says, I don't know, but pretty much at 4 a.m., the state argues this statement is a present sense impression and or excited utterance because Dylan is trying to explain to the dispatcher what she saw while under the current excitement of realizing that her roommate is not waking up. And something could be wrong in the house. The defendant disagrees, noting the event Dylan begins to describe what occurred 8 hours prior. He further argues it is not an excited utterance because she and Bethany had several hours to reflect on what she had seen and experienced at 4 a.m. The defendant is correct that the statement does not qualify as a present sense impression, while DM personally perceived with the event she is beginning to describe the contemporaneity, utterance exception aspect is missing. I'm sorry. She is attempting to narrate an event she saw 8 hours earlier. The excited utterance exception does not apply either. While Dylan is no doubt under stress of excitement caused by realizing Xana's unresponsive, her reflexive thought processing appears intact. She is starting to draw connections between Xana being unresponsive and what she saw and heard 8 hours prior. That's just now happening. That should have happened that early 8 hours, whatever. Anyway, this is so stupid. Something she has said had time to reflect upon. She does not launch spontaneously into what she saw 4 a.m. Rather, she asked the dispatcher if she can explain what she saw. Based on this exchange, it is clear her powers of reflection are quite active, thus obviating the purpose behind the exception. The statement is therefore not admissible and must be redacted. So they're going to be redacting a bunch of this shit. And then the statements regarding Xana. And not hearsay. Dylan then states Xana is not waking up. Hunter is heard stating Xana in the background. These are squarely present sense. So basically, that one will be.
Yeah, they're trying to cover everything.
Every single statement that has been made, they're redacting or allowing, and they're not allowing the one with what Hunter said. I don't believe. Around the time Hunter confirmed. Yes, go ahead.
Are you guys familiar with my boy Outcast over there? He's the new hotness. He's a DJ and he cleaned up the audio. Well, last night I was watching his show and he put this filter, this AI filter on it that separated the noise from the voices. And then he ran it through AI and asked, has this audio been altered? Before he did all that, I'm sorry. And it said, yes, from what I can judge, this audio has been altered in its cleanest state. So he's 100% convinced that this is all fake.
Well, I mean,
definitely staged.
Based on what we heard,
911 call goes. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the 911 call definitely does not match up to what we received. I even told him when he was here the one night, we were talking about what he did. And then I pulled up the 911 call that I got from Channel 4 when it was first released. It ain't nothing like what we heard. Completely different.
Hell no.
And that was being released to the public for the first time at that point. Why did they change it?
Bro,
Smoke and mirrors,
anybody that
man. Smoke
believes
and
the
mirrors.
state, yeah, anybody that believes
The
the state
magic
at this
act.
point needs some help.
If Dylan had been standing over the bodies with the unalive weapon, they would have been like, "Oh yeah, she was in a frozen shock phase because
She
she
found
was
it.
confused," and blah, blah, blah. They would have made 17 excuses why her blood, why her hands, why her fingerprints, and her body are standing over the bodies. You know, I mean, there's no way you
Yeah.
can win with this.
That's, I mean, like, she's the last person to see, her alive, and the last person to see her, like, lying there dead for 8 hours. Come on, bro. I don't know.
So they're going to
Eddie?
allow the statement. Right. It's all insane. It's all crazy. Absolutely. And the fact that they think anybody's going to believe this is what the worst part is. other than the guilters, of course.
Exactly. That's yeah.
So they're going to allow that Xana's not waking up. The crying and heavy breathing, they're going to allow that. The transcript of the 911 call will be allowed as demonstrative evidence. This may well require the transcriptionist to testify that he or she accurately transcribed the call. Fine. Rather than passing out individual copies of the transcript to each juror, it may be best to time the audio with the text of the transcript and play for the jury with the closed captioning. Otherwise, there is a concern the jury will read ahead or focus too much on one portion of the transcript and not another. However, the actual audio exhibit without the captioning is the one that will go back to the jury. Okay. So the order, therefore, is based on the foregoing, the state's motion in limine, read text messages and testimony is granted in part and reserved in part. The state's motion in limine 911 call is granted in part and denied in part and reserved in part. Wow, what a mess, y'all. What a mess.
Eddie, save us.
So on page 6, on the top of page 6, well, pretty much on the top, it's like the second paragraph. I'll read it. It says, hearsay is an out-of-court statement admitted to prove the truth of the matter asserted. So what's happening there is, even though we are all like picking this apart, like this is nonsense, and we can see that. So, but the difference is that the jury will be presented this and instructed to take it as literal fact.
Yeah, of course.
They don't have a choice. They don't have freedom like you and I do, so to speak.
Right.
To decipher it as BS. I just wanted to point that out.
That's a great point.
Page 8, on the top of page 8, I'm just going to go over one of these real quick. We don't need to beat it to death, but number 1, it says DM text Uber driver at 2:10 to inquire if he's driving. Okay, so we learned from, I'm not sure what page it was, but one of these first pages that they were debating whether they should go out to the grub truck. And that is supposedly the reason why they're giving DM for texting the Uber driver. Now, no doubt she texted the Uber driver. Of course, no doubt in court at trial, the Uber driver is prepared to say that he didn't drive her anywhere. I mean, that's already locked up. But in reality, just for you and I, you can better believe that not only did she text the Uber driver, but she also got a ride out of there, more than likely. That is the purpose for that. So there's just another example for you to identify where there's two realities in this case. There's what really actually happened, and then there's what is going to be like presented at trial. And again, the state has that one all fixed. The Uber driver is ready to say that no, he didn't take her anywhere, and DM is also going to say no, she didn't go anywhere.
Got you. Real quick, Eddie, sorry to interrupt, but backseat PB and J said, Dago, I missed this. Xana wasn't home until 4 a.m. with question mark. And what? Where'd that come from, backseat? That I never saw that yet, but okay. If that's
2 a.m.
something new,
Maybe backseat means 2 a.m.
yeah, 2 a.m. because that's new to us.
Yeah.
That was new to us, and I
How
was
about this Jenna wanting to get picked up?
Jenna McClure, yeah, she wanted to pick them up. Maybe she did. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Who am I again? I forget my name again. Sorry. Page 2. You want me to go back that real quick? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, under facts.
One second.
Add in the phone call to Xana's dad, and Xana's dad not coming over. There was a reason for that call, that he was that excited that he's ready to drive over drunk at midnight allegedly, and handle whatever situation.
12 or 12:30. Jeff said that they were at home eating pizza. Thank you. Yes, good point, Kane.
Wait, who said that?
Jeff Kernodle did. That was in the very beginning of the case, Eddie or Willie. They said that Jeff, they had stated that Jeff had spoken to Xana at 12:30 that morning, that her and Ethan were there eating pizza, watching TV.
Yeah, that was the original story.
12:30, and then
we found out that he said he wanted to come over, and the daughter stopped him.
And then they got more food.
That's why we questioned.
And then they get get more
right?
food. Sure.
I don't think you were in here at that point, Willie. You hadn't come around at that point yet, so you probably missed all that. But yeah, that's why everybody was like, "Well, why the hell they ordered DoorDash if she's eating pizza at 12:30?"
Yeah, this all doesn't make sense, bro.
And that came from her father, dude. Her father stated and verified that. Jeff Kernodle, sorry. But now it's come out that Xana didn't come home till 4. I haven't seen that yet. Right here, it says right here that Xana hadn't been home or wasn't home by 2 a.m. yet. Her and Ethan weren't home by 2 a.m. That the other 4 roommates were all upstairs. Here, I'll read this one more time. After spending the evening out, roommates Dylan, Bethany, Kaylee, and Madison returned to their homes at 1122 King Road in the early morning hours of November 13th. At approximately 2 a.m., they all met up in Kaylee's bedroom and they talked for a while. Before going to bed, the 5th roommate, Xana, who was out with her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, who was not home yet. Wait. I missed something.
Was not home yet. So that'd be at 2 a.m. Sorry. She was not home yet.
There you go. I hate the way they write these sometimes. Oh, that's it right there. Who was not home with,
literal contradiction.
Right. The roommates debated going out to a food truck for a late night snack, prompting Dylan to send a text at 2:10 to the Uber driver she knew to see if he was driving. Ultimately, however, the girls decided to just go to bed, and approximately 4 a.m., Dylan heard strange noises and crying coming from the bathroom. She opened her door and at one point saw a man dressed in black and with a ski mask on walking by her bedroom door. She then placed calls and texts to her other roommates to see if they were awake, and only Bethany, who resided on the ground floor, answered. They spoke once for 24 seconds. What the?
And then he saw Xana dead.
So we don't know truly what time Xana came home.
They had said 1:45. We don't know where they were.
That's
a big thing.
That's true, but this has changed now, Kane.
Well, Bethany definitely knows.
No, they changed it by the week, because what they originally say is never what was really ever written.
What if what they saw, minus the mask, was Xana in all black walking into the house at some point or something?
Okay. Well, I mean, you imagine the mask. Oh, wow. I imagined a mask on her, and I didn't see the blood.
Yeah, it's true.
How far are we going to believe in any of this bullshit?
Well, anything, Summer, about her opening her door 3 times, you can throw that. Nothing that's in that PCA, nothing in that PCA other than the date that this happened is truth now. Okay.
Wow.
something's messed up with this, guys, because maybe she didn't come in the door till 4 a.m.
Everything
They
is
don't
messed up.
give. They don't give a time that she came in at this point, do they?
Negative.
I give up.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Dago.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Can I straighten something out that
Go ahead.
happened earlier? I heard a lot of discussion about the doors being closed, and we've been told, like, I'm trying to get this as close as I can recall it. I'm just paraphrasing, but we were told from the very beginning that the doors were closed. And did I get that right? Is that pretty much?
Sir. That's
the
right.
Okay. So where does that come from? I don't recall it that way. And Heather's here. Maybe she can help us, because I think that there is it's either at a hearing or maybe it's in a document, but I think I recall somewhere in the record that, and it had to do with Murphy. Murphy was found upstairs in Kaylee's bedroom, and the doors were open.
Oh, we've forgotten about Murphy, haven't we, at this point?
Well, don't get sidetracked about Murphy. But the point is I think that was like the story around where we heard about the doors being open.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute. Heather said Ann said it. Yeah. So
yeah,
I just where are we getting that the doors were closed, and we've been told that from the very beginning? Where does that come from?
We were told.
That came from Steve.
Yep, it came from Steve and from Drunk Turkey. Remember?
Okay, so that's not part of the truth or the record.
Well, anymore, what is? But yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah.
What is the record?
Because I've always been preaching all along about, what we use as sources for our truth in this case. Of course.
Well, Steve
from early on, it's, we've included the PCA in that, but we can no longer even do that.
Yeah, I think it was technically, like Heather just said, Eddie, sorry to interrupt you, but that Christy stated when she spoke to Daniel that Hunter had to come over to break into the door because they couldn't get the door open. That came from Christy, that whole interaction they had.
They had to break down the door.
Basically. So at this point,
Ethan's body was laying against it. People were telling. That's what people were telling me.
Willie, good
job. Lies.
Yeah.
Willie. Yes, sir. That's right. They had to
remember.
Move
See,
him.
there we go. Bingo.
Oh yeah, I'm not letting them get away with this shit.
No,
they're gonna have to eat their words.
They could not open the door. They had to call Hunter over. This was the exact statement that came from Drunk Turkey via the interview with Christy. This is all meant with nothing but respect towards the family. But again,
facts is facts.
That exactly, bud. Like that, they had to call Hunter over because they couldn't get the door open to Xana's room, so he had to come over and push that door open to get it open. No. Okay, so here we are again. At this point, you guys, I think the next statement is going to be that what she actually saw was a blonde woman without a hat or a mask on that had a mustache maybe on one side and an eyebrow on her ass. I don't know anymore because nothing makes any fucking sense. It's ridiculous.
She went from being a star witness to a liability. That's what I'm saying.
They should say that. That would make more sense. But
that's what she is.
What world does bringing up the alternate perpetrators hurt the state? Okay, for one, they're not even saying that they're saying it wasn't him, but they're not saying that he wasn't involved. They're just saying there may have been alternate perpetrators. They don't want to allow that. And guess what? They're not going to, because Hitler said the jury can decide for themselves. The rest of y'all can go fuck yourselves.
But that still doesn't. Okay, but it still matters what he allows in, what he doesn't allow in, because the jury is going to base their opinion off of that. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's basically telling us the jury can decide for themselves, dumbass. The rest of you can fuck yourselves. As far as Ann goes, as far as anybody here goes, it's not going to matter. They're going to let anything in that they want in, and anything they don't, So that shows another level of the protection thing that he's talking about. You know, they're looking out for somebody. Who does it seem to be? And so I don't know if that DoorDash driver or the Lyft driver or whoever it is that it turns out to be. Now, I don't think we even have, is this all of the phone activity and stuff now? Is this finally every drop? Because they kept that redacted at the last drop.
No, it's not all. There's a document from the defense that says this is not the entirety of the phone activity. I'll look for it while you guys are discussing.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Eddie. And I just want to know if we can all get a copy of this script for this new movie, because that's what this has turned into.
Next, this summer by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
4 college kids slept in their beds in an off-campus home after hours.
And it's absolutely disrespectful to the victims. Absolute. Every bit of this, because it's all lies. Okay? There's no truth in this, nor justice for these kids at all. Sorry.
Sunday. I can see the trailer now, man. You're right.
That's what it's reading like anymore. It's like a script to a movie or something. Good God, you guys. I don't even know. It changes every day.
The killer walks by with a vacuum.
A firefighter, mind you, with a vacuum. Yeah. Then the naked. Don't forget the naked guy that ran by.
It'd be a hell of a movie.
No, yeah.
And that's a great point, Kent said. How is this jury going to believe?
They shouldn't.
Prosecution's chest. Who's going to believe anything that has been stated at this point?
Biased people.
Hitler.
If they find this man guilty of this, I give up on life. I'm just telling you.
That's what I mean. This is
Listen,
sick, dude.
Brian Kohberger does not stand a chance in an Idaho courtroom.
Nope.
And listen, guys, I know that Steve Gonsalves has put some stuff out that is not acceptable per se, but he has lost a child. So please, let's be as respectful towards him and the families as we can, as well as the victims. I don't put up with that, nor do I like that in here. So
yeah, please.
I respect your opinions, guys. I do respect your opinions, but let's not do that kind of stuff in here, because we don't know what they're going through, what he's going through, any of it, unless you've actually lived it. So just let's try to do that. At the very least, respect those people. That's all. Thank you.
Where were we?
I don't know what to think anymore, or even like, you know, what Eddie said about this whole thing. What this here is what Hitler put together based on what he was told and what he read. Okay. We don't know that this is even true, you guys. Think about that. It's obviously not, but I mean, it's his interpretation of what was handed to him. And none of this stuff was put in the PCA. Well, not none of it, but some of it was. But that's what I'm saying. The PCA is a document that is null and void at this point. It does not exist anymore within this case. It's gone. Okay. There's no frozen shock phase. There's no open and close the door 3 times. There's none of that stuff to me exists anymore, because we've outlaid all of that with all this other shit.
Oh,
so how is that document relatable in this case anymore at all? Wait, what?
Yeah. It's all about going on the defense now.
Steve is saying they found the knife at Brian's, and according to court docs, that's not okay. Well, listen, like I said, that's why Sarge put his video out. Steve has said some things, and again, I mean this with all due respect, that are not true per se. They're misinformed information, in my opinion. Maybe it's because he's being told these things, like it was said earlier, that he's being led by the state or the prosecution to believe these things. That's
but the more you come out, but here's the thing, right? The more you come out and say, you know, this, that, and the third, the less they're going to start telling you, because, you know, they don't want you coming out and telling the public everything.
Right.
You know. So
you're absolutely right, Heather. It is. It's insane. And I believe, and I agree with you, but he's getting his information from somewhere. Okay. That's the problem. So are they misleading him on purpose just to keep him quiet or comfortable? Or because if that's true, that's a horrible thing to do, because it's screwing everything up with this.
they have some type of power over people. I won't say anybody's names directly, but
I
that
know.
appears to
I agree.
be. That's why you don't have anybody at the college, anybody in the frats talking about anything at
At
all.
all.
Zero, zip, zilch, nada. In this,
Right.
we had the 1 year get together of the frat boys that was all sugar coated, and this is what is so alarming to me with this, with these words that we're reading right now, is because they not only glossed over what they presented to the grand jury, they created an entire fabrication to get him in there from day one, Dago.
Wow.
You're right, dude. This is a whole different. This is nothing like what we started with, you guys. Nothing. And look where we're at now.
What were the questions
everything he
that
just said
grand
was
jury
true.
had? Don't you wonder? And what happened in the federal grand jury? That we'll never know. That we'll never know. They have the cognified immunity shit or whatever it is. So we're another thing is if Kohberger is dismissed, what happens? But I keep trying to imagine this scenario. What if you could go back in a time to say you had 12 hours before before the crime, and what would you do?
That's a
Who
great
would you
question.
tell? Because allegedly Kaylee had all this true crime stuff, and maybe she'd solve something. And
That's what we need to know, Kane, in my
maybe,
opinion.
well, one good theory that Jen presented was maybe the driver, I'm sorry, it was Twiz. The driver was having an affair on his pregnant wife, allegedly, in my opinion, with one of the housemates, Dylan.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the rest of the roommates found out. You're not a killer, but you're culpable. You stayed downstairs while you knew what was going on upstairs. Because listen, dude, that house is so small. You do not need to TikTok or Snapchat your roommate who's 15 feet away from you. You could yell through the damn wall. Ethan.
She saw her laying dead. She saw her laying there dead twice, bro. Twice.
That is
that what she told Adam?
Obviously.
So are you saying that's what maybe she told Adam, Kane?
Now you're blowing my mind hole. Holy shit. Yeah, I need to chew on that one.
Said you could hear a man. You could hear a man yelling. Wow, is Outcast in here right now?
I haven't seen him. He did a late show probably last night. Kept it rolling.
Oh, okay.
He does keep an entertaining show. I will give him that. He's
yeah, absolutely.
He's a Purge franchise affiliate. all channels are now Purge, by the way.
I've been definitely trying to support him and get him out there because I like what he does. So,
yeah, he only has 350 subs. Please go over there and join up the troops. It's a blast in the chat. And
yeah, guys, that's what
he throws a lot of funny stuff in there. Good stuff though too.
He's a good dude. He is.
Hey, I gotta hop down. I gotta get the kiddo to bed. It's getting late.
All right, bro. Thank you for joining us. And
Willie.
Thanks, Willie.
Hey, Willie. Tomorrow night or Saturday. Tomorrow night or Saturday. Don't miss it out.
Sorry for blowing you.
Are you going live?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. I'll stop by.
I gotta get in.
All right, fellas. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Good night, Willie.
All right, guys. Later, chat.
You're gonna have to give me some alerts or something to somebody because I don't get notifications for any of these channels, and I'd love to catch one of your shows too, Kane. Yeah. I don't. Any mention of a private investigator? No.
Yeah, where's that one?
Right, exactly.
It makes you wonder because usually private investigators are more successful at discovering the truth than even the law enforcement. In a lot of cases, when you pay these guys, they're retired law enforcement, they've got old connections way back on all the forces or whatever they are, And what happened to that? We never heard any result. All we hear is the Garrett discovery.
Great point. Great point. I don't on absolutely. I have no idea what to think now. Okay. I just don't. I don't even know what to say right now.
It's so crazy. As much time as we spent on this damn case, I feel like this case has been my life, my whole life.
It has been, guys, and we've spent most of you people I've met because of this case. Okay, and I spent 3 years almost on this case, in and out of it, on top of it, outside of it, inside out, every bit of it, and now we know this happened. That's all I can tell you. I know it happened, and I know it happened on November 13th of 2022.
Do you?
That's all I know anymore. Yeah.
We never saw any bodies.
Do we really know that? Do we even know that? This is insane.
And do you know another thing that J-Rod on Point brought up is that he spoke to Xana's mom, Carrie Canolo.
Yeah, he did. Right.
And that she told him, and this we vetted this fact that when a body has a coroner's autopsy, they cremate the bodies and give them back to the families. They're not going to give them the body all dissected. And Kara Canolo,
well, no, they don't. But unless you don't want the cremation done,
no,
right?
You don't have a choice. That's what Kara Canolo said. Is that they went ahead and burned the bodies. They tore down the house and they burned the bodies. And they did have a funeral for Ethan, but we don't know if it was an open casket or if it was just, a memorial service with his ashes. Yeah. Yep. This is something that is commonplace that they do. And so Kara Canolo told that. So we have somebody within the victims' families that is sharing details like that, whatever opinion you may have, Kara. And
no, I don't. I spoke to Kara last year. She did a panel with another channel and 2 other creators that I know. One that I respect, the other I don't. And I spoke to her for a short period of time as well. And that didn't get brought up, but I know Kara had questions at that point. Outcast has spoken to her recently, and she's got questions at this point as well. She questions whether Brian did it or not did it. She doesn't know. And she shouldn't have those kind of questions as a parent to one of the victims, okay? She shouldn't. None of them should. And I know you know what I'm saying with this, and you agree with this. Every bit of the family members should know who did this at this point, but they don't.
Absolutely. And the problem is they have no desire to find out who really did it, because if they don't see that this isn't the truth, then either the wool's been pulled over your eyes so far, the pressure's on your head, or you just ain't thinking. And I'll leave it at that.
Something's not right. Something's not right. Now, here's the thing. What you just said about this whole cremation thing. A family has the right to decide if they want the body cremated or kept for burial. That's fact. It's just
not after the coroner performs an autopsy. Now, if it's somebody that's a private, then you have the right. But with the state decides. In a lot of cases, I'm not even 100% sure in Idaho, but this is what we're told, and that's why we looked into it.
That's based on what you're hearing. That
was what I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, no, please do. Absolutely. I'm just relaying what I've heard and what we found out. That's all.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that because I've never heard that before. That's absolutely insane. Now,
it's even crazier, man.
I will say this, that I've looked into other cases and covered other cases that bodies have been cremated by the state on purpose quickly when there has been other corruption in other cases. So that's why I want to look in and see if there's any specific laws about this. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Definitely.
That's insane. Because the family should have, in fact, that's maybe because Ethan had 2 autopsies done. His family, he had the one that was done by the state and then one that his family paid for because they were not satisfied with the one that the state did. So and I wonder why. I want to know that too, but they're not really talking about a lot of that. Anyway, one more thing. Heather said just now that she did hear that this happened in this case, but kind of don't believe it. So I'm going to look into it. I am.
Don't trust Heather.
And then Mabbott also said there was no toxicology. Not that it wasn't done, but it was not going to matter. It wasn't needed. So okay. Don't trust Heather, right? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We heard the exact opposite. In fact, it was more normal to wait until the case was done, so on and so forth.
Didn't they do a tech? I thought they did a toxicology and found that one of them was totally clean, which also kind of lends the credibility to maybe one of them was pregnant at the time, Kaylee or Xana.
That was talked about way early on, on.
Well, remember, it seems like our first instincts in this case have been the most reliable.
Well, yeah, a lot of the stuff that we're finding out now is stuff that we came to the conclusion of 2.5 years ago, 3 months after this started. So yeah, I can agree with that. The 3 girls, Be Real said that the 3 girls were cremated, not Ethan. And that's because I do believe it was religious beliefs with the family that they wanted to bury him because they have a family plot. That's what I was questioning that for.
Right.
So we're going to have to look at that. And we have not seen a talks that I've ever seen on the family's SRB's right, or on the kids' SRB's right. I'd like to see one.
We never saw any bodies. I will tell you that for a fact.
No, we haven't. That's true. And I went back and looked purposely. Now I do know, being a first responder for years, certain occasions, especially with this case, because there was so much press on this, so many people, bystanders, cameras, videos, all that stuff being done. They may have waited until late at night, and they had that canopy that they had over the door at some point when they were moving things in and out, and they more than likely in the late at night, middle of the night sometime, canopied the door, blocked it off, and backed the truck up and put them in that way. In my opinion, that's what I think probably happened.
Yeah, like 4 a.m. type of thing. They blocked the street off
where nobody's going to be out. Yeah, so that they can't be anybody there to take pictures out of respect for the victims and the families. I've seen that kind of thing done before. That's why I expect that's what happened. I don't even know, you guys. This has gone beyond a level that I ever thought it would. Like I said, we can't, and we got to watch which rabbit holes we fall into because there's so many of them right now. And for good reason. Okay. This document alone by itself, it's one document, has completely blown the minds of all of us that were sitting here tonight. It's changed a lot of things. It's not necessarily detrimental to the case, but it's changed our mindset on a lot of this and what we led to believe for how long. I would have never, ever. Now, see, here's the thing. At one point, they were all sitting upstairs in Kaylee's room just talking at 2 a.m.
This is crazy.
Xana's not home, Xana should have been home for 2.5 hours at this point, eating pizza. We don't even know when Xana got home.
I knew she wasn't home at midnight. I knew that was bullshit.
So where was Xana and Ethan all this time? And we now know earlier there was a fight. Kara did say that fight did happen, okay? And she got that information from her other daughter. So the fight happened. And then Xana and Ethan supposedly went home, but they didn't.
I want to give Eddie a chance, but I want to say one more thing. They call it a fight, okay? But part of the Riz of Sigma Chi is the Fight Club. They have a Fight Club. They show it in their promotional videos. Everybody knows it's there. And allegedly, the Shark Tank, where you would fight multiple people and try to, like a survival kind of gamut thing, happened at 1115 or 1118 in the basement. So that's why it was a quiet night on Queen Road on a Saturday night, right before Thanksgiving, after a football game. Come on. And I'm doing a Jen impersonation right there, but I'm sorry, Eddie, did you find those pages?
Yes, I did. So it is in the defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine regarding text messages and testimony. It's on page 4, towards the top. I'll read it. Mr. Kohberger herein provides a more complete but not exhaustive view of DM and BF's communications and interactions with social media during the hours established by the state.
Eddie, read that one more time. I'm sorry.
Okay. So in the document, which was filed March 17th, 2025, the
Right.
defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine regarding text messages and testimony. On the top of page 4, pretty much, it reads, Mr. Kohberger herein provides a more complete but not exhaustive view of DM and BF's communications and interactions with social media during the hours established by the state. So it's not an exhaustive view. That what's in this document, which, by the way, is more than what the state filed in their motion in limine regarding the text messages and testimony. So the defense has a more complete list of the text that night and that morning, right?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay.
I see. Yeah.
So it's more complete, but it's not an exhaustive view, she's saying. So there's more that we haven't seen yet.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Thank you. I'm sorry to make you read it twice. I just didn't hear a couple pieces of it. And going back to what you were stating, there was, with what Kane said, it could be what he's talking about. But moreover, when Kara was spoken to about that at one point a year or so ago, it was stated that there were issues between Ethan and the guy he fought with that night, that there was a big issue that was never clarified what it was, and that the fight was due to something Xana had said, offended him supposedly. Of course, Ethan, being the boyfriend, stood up for his girlfriend. That's where the fight progressed from there. Now,
wait a minute.
Isn't that coming from the 4chan shit though?
Well, I don't know if that's where Kara got this from, but that's what she stated.
I don't remember that one.
Because I've never heard any of this, right?
This was never in documents, right? This was why last year or a year and a half or so.
So we can't run with any of that.
Of course not. No,
we can
I'm just
conjecture
giving you,
though, for sure.
I'm just giving you what was stated, that I believe that she may have heard that from her daughter based on what she had said. Now, like I said, this was a year and a half ago that this was stated. I'm not 100% positive. And if it may not be right, guys, so don't quote it. I'm just saying.
Remember, if anything we learned tonight, we learned a lot of things, but one thing is that early on in this case, we were all starved for information, and we were desperate for any little piece of information that was put out there, and we clung to it, and it was gospel, right?
Of course.
So
12 times
when with these interviews, like, he didn't have to go upstairs, and we tried to analyze what that meant, and just every single word we dissected and believed, and now it's turning out that none of it was true. The only thing we can rely upon is these documents and hearings, at least on the defense's part. I'm not saying everything we hear in the documents or hear in the hearings or read in the documents by the state is going to be true. So that throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into our model. Our not our model, our guide, rather, what we can use for facts. So, yeah, what we've heard from the family, because they weren't there that night either, so they would have no clue and no real, basis to say much that we can use as truth, right?
Well, we're to guess that what they're getting is coming from law enforcement and or the prosecution, you would imagine, but that's not so reliable, as we can see. At least in my opinion, of course.
And at this point, it's almost like it's purposely not reliable.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, exactly my point, Eddie, is
Yeah.
It is a wonder of science. The lengths that they will go to not only fabricate and lie, but to cover up. Do you follow? And then they're willing to go the extra mile to reinvent new shit on top of it. So what are they trying to bury? They tore down the house, and I'm telling you, they burned the bodies. And somebody was saying in chat that the Chapins were Jewish, but I believe they were Mormon. Isn't that correct?
I don't know. I don't know that. They're not Jewish though. I don't believe they're Jewish.
They're Mormon, yeah. And the point I'm making is that in many cases, not in just this case, once the autopsy is performed by the state, the family is not given a choice. They are just returned ashes.
But
I don't know how that's legal though. That could be a lawsuit.
That is the legal way. They literally, it's another. It's just
but
like
you don't
not allowing
that.
the families in the courtroom.
You can't. You don't know that.
I mean, what you're saying though is that's what you were heard, what you told, right? Yeah.
No, this is in other cases. The family was not given a choice after the state did an autopsy. They were returned ashes, and it was perfectly legal.
What other cases? This is the first time you're saying other cases.
Yeah, I'll look it up. We'll look it up. It's no.
I said other cases from the beginning. There is many other cases.
Okay, I thought you said your source on this was
meaning it's happening within this area, Kane. You mean like within Idaho and all this?
I don't even know in Idaho. In other states, we found that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but this is. It's not like it's some unicorn that this would happen. So it's very possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely not a legal thing to do. So if it's happening, it's highly illegal. So I'll look into it and see what we can find.
Well, then, Kane, I apologize. I misunderstood you. I thought you had said that you heard this from Kara Kernodle.
Well, what Kara Kernodle said was this is what led us to go look at it more. Was that the families were not given a choice when it came to how the bodies were disposed of, and that is how they were returned to them. Now, Ethan did have a funeral, but that does not mean that there was a body. That just means they had a funeral for him, and there could have been a body or it could have been ashes. And people are getting fired up over it, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's happened before, and it's it's in either a procedure or an order or a law that this is how the coroner. And we got to look at the past of the coroner's office in the state of Idaho. They have actually held state legislation to try to change laws because, like, there was one case where a lady was declared a natural death, and she was found chopped up, put into garbage bags, and put on the side of the road.
Wow, with all the thing I've seen with certain funeral homes lately, I wouldn't doubt that at all. But I'm going to look into what you're saying because now I'm curious because it was stated that at least one of the bodies was very, very sadly unrecognizable to an extent, maybe. And so, yeah, I'm curious now. I'm going to look into that and see what can be found about that, if there's anything listed. But I'm going to definitely legally wise look into laws about that because that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying it's illegal to take somebody's loved one and without getting their permission and go do something with that body. You know what I'm saying? That's not legal at all.
Kane, are you saying that you're saying that in this Idaho 4 case that has happened to the 4 victims?
I'm saying it would make sense, and I'm saying that that's what one of the victims' family members said. That's all I can present to you, other than trying to vet it with the fact that this is not a rare thing. So you have a violent crime, you have a state performing an autopsy where they're covering up everything else. Now we can't do another autopsy. They've been burned to ashes.
If you think about it, I mean, this is personal stuff, right? So how could Kara Kernodle speak on the other 3? If maybe she could speak personally about her own experience with Xana, but she wouldn't have any idea what happened to the other family members' loved departed loved ones.
Hold on, Eddie. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Alicia said that Ethan was not cremated, but then two people in here have thus far said that it does say that according to Google. And then Moonlit said the same thing, that no bodies are returned to family based on what Google said. Now that's wild to me. And this is only after the coroner in this situation handles the situation, correct?
Remember that the coroner is an elected official.
Of course.
They do not have to have even a PhD. They don't even have to be a mortician. Strictly an elected official. Judges do not even have to have a law degree.
No, Bonnie. He had to do an autopsy. I don't think anybody's been exhumed. I am going to double check this just to see why. I mean, why would you do something like that without the family's okay?
Why indeed, my friend? Why indeed? That is the
Heather said that
question.
Stacy Chapin did say on that podcast with the actor from Twilight that she carries a bit of Ethan around with her and showed an urn jewelry thing. Okay, well, maybe. I don't know, guys. We'll look into it.
Thank you, Heather. See, listen to Heather now.
Yeah. Got you.
Well,
Kelly, I'm finding it hard to believe that the frat had anything to do with the death, considering the Chapins would allow their sons to remain in the frat. Of course. Now, I understand what you're saying, Cat Lady. Go ahead, Eddie. Sorry.
Well, let's just say that is true. What comment you highlighted there with Heather's saying that she carries a piece of... Could you put that back up? I forget what it said.
Yeah, hold on. And Heather also just said it could be a lock of hair for all she knows, but...
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not like she clipped off a piece of his body.
It says, just saying that Stacy did say on that podcast with the actor from Twilight that she carries a bit of Ethan around with her and showed an urn jewelry thing, which my wife has too. It's a necklace that has an urn attached to it that has a bit of the dog that we had cremated. It's in the rest is in here. So yeah, they do make small little urns like that. So anyway.
Yeah, in fairness, that would be inconclusive, because let's say that the Chapin family believes in cremation versus, because this is what it comes down to, is whether they were cremated, right? That's what you're saying, Kane?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that would be inconclusive. I mean, maybe it might be true that...
Well, yeah.
That, Ethan was cremated, but that might have been a choice, right? We don't know.
Alicia's in Michigan. She said, because unfortunately she has a child that passed, and said that her son was autopsied by the state and then he was sent back to them. So maybe...
Sorry, Alicia.
In that sense, it's different situations. I don't know. Like I said, that's why I want to look into it. So at this point, I'm just going to pass on to another conversation as we look into it. It's insane to me. So thank you for the information though, because I had never heard anything like that.
Well, one more thing on the topic. If Heather's statement is true and they used the word urn, as opposed to if you had a strand of hair or something of this sort, it would be in a vial, wouldn't it?
Yeah, agreed. And I do know one thing. I do know that the Chapins paid for their own private autopsy. Ethan had 2. He's the only one that had 2. So that could be how they ended up with... I don't know. And it wouldn't be in the obituary what happened to him. They don't do that. But
right.
So at this point, we'll just have to go on that, based on what's been said, it's speculative theory. And I really am going to look into this because it's bothering me. I've never heard of anything like that happening. That's insane to me. I
mean, it's not that they don't give them back all the time, Heather. It's just they reserve the right. Like no shoes, no shirt, no body.
That's crazy, though. I don't know. Maybe due to the investigation, maybe, I don't know. Like I said, we're gonna move past this right now, and we'll just...
Right. Yeah. No, I didn't mean to sidetrack.
You're right.
Derail the whole thing. No.
It's okay.
We've gotten a lot more crazier stuff tonight for sure.
Yeah, 100%. state cannot force cremation after autopsy. This is probably something she looked up. While states have regulations regarding cremation, they generally do not mandate after autopsy the right to make right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens and what we can find. That's all. But if nothing else, thank you for bringing the information. So
beyond the law thing of it, though, just one more thing is, if they did it and that's what they give you back, what are you going to do at that point? You know,
there's nothing you can do.
families
And I will.
They're not
right.
litigious, you know.
I will say that there have been cases that we have actually covered here that type of a thing has happened. Where not necessarily what you said, but like where there's a suspicious person in the family or something, and they hurry up and cremate the body. That way there's no way to you know what I mean? So yeah, I've heard things like that happening. Ooh. So anyway, you know, it is, people do crazy shit, but at this point, I don't know. We'll find out later on. And actually it's 3:18 we've been here, so it's about time we bring it to a close anyway. I mean, that document alone, guys, tonight, it's crazy because the title of the show is What is Being Hidden or Kept Secret in the Kohberger Case. Well, here we go. I had no idea that document existed when we first came in here. They dropped that. They must have dropped that between the time I set the show up and the time I went live.
Yeah, I was looking too. I was looking. It wasn't there.
No, there was 2 documents that were new, and they were all just documents sealing things. So, yeah. And all this stuff's new. So I'm gonna hit the rest first, folks.
Dang.
Yeah. I was
talking
real
about
surprised.
a boom. Damn.
Very, very much so. Yes.
Glad I could join you tonight, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Willie, Eddie, always, guys. Anybody that wants to come up here and voice their feelings, opinions, and thoughts, I love it. So I appreciate it very much. But with all the rest of these documents here, we'll be back tomorrow to cover the rest of this, obviously. But that one was a big one, guys. That was a big, big, big drop to me. It doesn't really, personally, in my opinion, affect detrimentally the case a lot, but it changes a lot, and it once again shows us where's the truth in this case, because I haven't seen it yet now. Okay, I haven't seen any truth other than the fact that this happened on November 13th of 2022. That's the only thing that I've seen that is true thus far at this point, and I don't understand why.
I don't know if I even believe that anymore.
Well, you never know. It could have been, it could have been the day before, the day after. Who knows? You have to question everything, guys, and that's what this is all about. We sat quiet for a long time over here in this channel, and we didn't question anything. Nothing. We just took it for what it was. Said to read the PCA, guys. We told everybody, follow the PCA. Trust the process. Facts. That's what we were told.
Dago.
Yes, sir.
Remember that one time it was right around the time I came back. You know, I took a hiatus there for a while.
Yeah.
And I said that, and I mentioned subconscious mouth. Remember, I said,
yeah, I remember.
One thing that we all have to remember is how he tried to impress on his listeners that you got to strip this down to bare metal. He always said.
Yep.
What do we know when it comes right down to it? And just like you said, you know that 4 college students were brutally stabbed on November 13th, 2022. That is what you know. Beyond that, whatever it is that you think you know, you don't.
And in this situation, we can definitely say, and yes, Eddie, we don't. We do not know. Nobody does at this point, because this is nothing like what we thought this was. This is nothing like what we were told. There's so many lies and so much deceit involved in this. I think this at this point is almost bypassing the Delphi situation that I thought was the worst. So I'm just going to have to say, guys, that I just don't even know what to think anymore. I don't know who to trust, what to trust. So I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. And I'm going to read these documents, and I'm going to take whatever factual information I can find. And I'm going to sit here with all these awesome people, and we're going to break this down and try to figure out what the hell it means. Because they're not going to tell us. And if they do tell us something, it's not believable. That's all I'm saying. Good night, Jody. Thank you for joining us. The gag order, that's another thing too. Terry said the gag order has kept us busy saying things with no receipts. Well, yeah, but there's a gag order, but then we get all this shit that comes out. So what is this? And we got leaks coming from over here. And, Steve Gonzalez is putting things out, stating things that he's obviously being told from somewhere. And everything is such a mess. And then they're getting mad at people from YouTube saying that we're causing problems, but we're not.
It's safe to call the source the state.
Bingo.
That's
Bingo.
Just say it like that. And
That's
I think
all I'm going to have to say is the state is producing information and giving it to whoever they're giving it to, and it's not true, folks. It's misinformation.
An agent of the state.
An agent of the state. There you go. Good way to put it, buddy. And it's all misinformation. So at this point, I do not and will not, and I cannot trust the process that we were asked to trust. I do not trust and will not look at the PCA ever again, other than to refer to a lie. And we're just gonna have to go with this day after day after day and continue gaining more information and trying to decipher, is it true or is it false? That's all we can do at this point until the trial hits. And is it going to make a difference at that point when the trial comes down? Because they're going to do the same shit in the trial. So
exactly.
Dago, as always, thank you for having me up.
Thank you, bud. It's always an honor to have you here. I always love your insight.
Yeah, Eddie, you're the best, man. You are the best.
Kane, yeah, nice chatting with you. Hope you understand. I'm kind of a stickler for, what goes out as fact. So I challenged you a bit there, but
if I didn't get challenged, then I wouldn't even know my own position, would I?
That's right. There's already enough misinformation out there, so I kind of clamp down on.
No, yeah, I'm not going to come to you with something that doesn't add up or I haven't looked into in some way. I know it sounds tinfoil hatty, but it's these type of things don't happen all the time. But when you have a crime like this, you are very lucky to get anything back a lot of times, even if you're arrested for shoplifting and you have a wallet, or if you're arrested by a Fed, or if you're arrested by a DEA agent at the airport, they had to take away their right to take people's money because they were literally taking travelers' money, not returning it to them, and then turning it over and donating it to their policeman's balls fund. So this isn't out of the realm of thought. I am just presenting it as hypotheses at this point. So yeah, take that. I don't want. I feel you on that, Eddie. That I don't want it to be a runaway bride on us or anything. But when you think about that, why were they so eager to get the possessions of the victims back to them? And they throw them all in a U-Haul, seemingly unmarked, unlabeled. And did those victims' families ever pick those up? What would you want out of that house? And I can't think of another case, another way that you're getting rid of the evidence, dude. And so then you tear down the house. You have no more evidence. You burn the bodies. There's not going to be a second fiddle on this. So what the state says goes. And look at the condition of BRYAN Kohberger in the last hearing. Will he make it to August?
Oh, I believe you. I believe
one
you will.
common theme for sure is a destruction of evidence in this case. I agree with that 100%. But again, it was great talking with you both, and thanks again, Dago, for having me up.
Oh, every time, bro. Every time, anytime. Thank you again. I appreciate you very much, sir. Very much. Cat Lady, yes, I appreciate that as well. And Kane, thank you so much for joining me tonight, bro. I appreciate your input, your insight as well.
Always a pleasure, Dago.
Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great night, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Okay, everybody else that's in chat, really thank you for joining me tonight as well. Like I said, guys, I'm going to look into that, but I did get, let's see here. Autopsies on murder victims do not automatically cause the body to cremate. Cremation is a process where cells shrink and develop a wrinkled appearance, is not directly related to the autopsy procedure itself. While an autopsy may involve dissection and manipulation of organs, this does not cause cremation. Cremation is typically associated with cellular dehydration or crenation. Hold on a minute. Cellular dehydration and exposure to hypertonic solutions, not with the autopsy process. Okay, I see what that is. And then there is a obituary for Ethan. stated that he's buried in Hawthorne Memorial Park. Okay, and again, I don't know what the outcome personally is that was sent to me. Thank you for sending me that. But again, I want to look up and see if that has ever happened, and if it's something that does happen. That's all, out of curiosity. Just to ensure that what we're stating here is true or false. You know, he may have gotten that information. Somebody may have told him something wrong. So that's why we had to look into those types of things before we try to claim that as being a factual statement. And back it with some kind of truth. That's all. Let's see here. Checking and make sure that everybody's good in here. And that being said, guys, I really appreciate you guys showing up tonight. You guys are amazing. As always, we'll probably be back tomorrow for this because there are quite a few other documents we didn't get to because this one was such an eye-opener. Okay. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff as always. And I'm really kind of like, wow. God, no. Okay, you don't want to come back tomorrow, Brian? No worries, buddy. No worries. Sorry. Thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. Have a great night, Angel. And everybody else in here, guys, don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Don't change a thing about yourselves. You guys are the beautiful people. And guys, always stay true to you because you know you can trust yourselves. Have a great night, folks, and I will see you guys again very soon. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Typing at the speed of light, hunting down the shadows, bringing wrongs to right, digging deep in the data, facts sharp as a knife. With every single story, he's fighting for a life. A voice for the voiceless, he won't stay quiet. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelations shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Streaming loud and clear, cracking cases, open hearts filled with fear. His channel's a beacon in a world gone wrong. He guides us through the chaos, a soldier so strong. The clicks and the lights, they follow his lead. With every new case, he plants a new seed. Sharing their stories, giving hope where it fades. Daniel's a warrior through the trials he waits. In a world of silence, he shouts out their names. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows you rise, it's streaming loud and clear. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the